We got tea in the back. If you need something in the middle, feel free to just go ahead and grab it. Bathrooms. If you head back up the hall past the lobby on the right-hand side, if you need to go, just go. We will also at the tail end have a bonus lunch session. Okay. Now I've got far more people on Zoom today than we have in the room, and we got a nice room here. So we will be taking questions. So Brian, you'll be monitoring the questions on the Zoom. And so if there are any, then he may stand up and interrupt and get us going. Okay. Our first speaker today is Mr. Keith Everett. Keith is one of our EXP managing brokers. We have 3 in Colorado. So based on the number of agents you have in a state, you have more brokers that help us. Keith has been in real estate for 20 years now. He was a top 5% producer at Coldwell in West Denver, and he was the regional managing director there. At Keller Williams, then we shifted. He had a team in Evergreen and in Grand Junction. He is a coach. He's a trainer. He's a former Tom Ferry coach. He is an owner of Take the Next Step Consulting. So as a real estate coach and trainer, please help me welcome Keith Everett. Except I got to say, got it. Then I think we can move. Yeah, we're there. We're there.
It's always weird hearing somebody else talk about yourself, and it's a great event here. This is the second time I've been here. What Kelly, Jeff, and the group put together is an amazing opportunity for you guys to learn, to get together, to see each other face to face, and to develop some better habits maybe in your real estate practice. I don't like to talk at people. I want to talk with you guys. So please raise your hand, jump in anytime. This is a conversation. I'm not one of those formal presenters, and I want to make sure that we have fun and that we get some good engagement. So that being said, what the heck is flow? Now, flow state is a term that was developed by a psychology professor named Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And trust me, that's how you say his name. It's easy to butcher. But he came up with this idea back in the late 90s and early 2000s to see what it was that allowed people to get into a place where they are working in a very serious but relaxed manner. It's a way where you're totally immersed in a task and you're performing it with enthusiasm, ease, and total immersion. But you might think of it more as being in the zone. Now, we know from sports mostly about people being in the zone. Steph Curry, goes insane, drops 8 or 9 threes in a half of a game. There's a lot behind him being in that zone, though, that we don't think about. And one is that you have to have the skill set for the task at hand. Now, you can develop this for your lead generation as well. And we're talking about the zone or the flow state today for your lead generation, because you could be the best person in the world at contracts. You can have all the acronyms after your realtor name, but if you can't get a lead, you don't get to practice real estate. Lead generation is the most important part of your business, period, end of conversation. Now, with that being said, how do you get into the zone like Steph Curry? And like I said, it's skills that meet the task. Well, Steph practices 6 hours a day. He shoots 500 shots a day. And if you are a follower of Malcolm Gladwell, he wrote a book called Outliers that came to the conclusion that to become an expert and mastery of a skill, you need 10,000 hours of proper practice. Not doing it wrong, doing it the right way, 10,000 hours. So it took him 6.5 years to become a master at his craft. You can do this as well. Now, developing, don't think that you have to go do those 6 hours a day for 6.5 years before you can start making the phone calls. I don't want you to think I'm saying that. Don't get ready to get ready to get ready. I want you to practice, and then go make your call. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. When you're learning, there are 4 stages of you learning a task. And you start, and I want you to all go back to your first year in real estate. You went through this expensive course, you took this really crappy test to know that you don't know anything about real estate. All they taught you is how to get your license, right? So when you started out unconscious incompetence. That is, you don't even know what you don't know about real estate. Your first day on the job, you get your shiny new name tag and your business cards, and you're like, what now? Now, as you progress and you have a mentor, you have a leader that helps you, you become conscious to what you don't know. So now you're starting to see that there are things that you need to be studying and paying attention to in order to get that expertise. And Kelly, we did it again. There's no timer going. So you just wave at me. Okay. So after you start practicing and learning what you're supposed to learn and knowing what you're supposed to know, you're starting to get a little bit of that competence, and you're aware of it, but you have to think about doing it. Now, once you've done it over time and you're getting that mastery of the skill, you get to the point where you don't even have to think about it. Unconscious competence. And one that I think all of us can, put in our mind to think about what we're doing is, you could drive home from this event today and think about all the great information you got. And when you got home, you don't remember driving home. You are on autopilot because you have conscious competence of driving home. You know the route, you know the stoplights, and you can just do it on autopilot, or in the zone, or in flow state. This graph is showing you basically where you are in a feeling idea of flow. If you're doing a task that is too easy for you, you're going to be bored. So if your skill set is higher than the task you're looking at and that you're performing, you're going to be bored. If you're doing something that's harder than you're used to doing, maybe if you're speaking for the first time, you're going to be anxious, and you're going to need to improve your skill set to be able to get into that flow state. But when the task and your skills meet and align, that's when you're in flow, and time just goes away and everything just seems to click for you. And I tend to go back to my wrestling career when I think about flow state, when everything goes right. I always go back to sports. It took me a while to apply it to real estate. And when you do, it's awesome. So how do you do it? How do you get into the flow state? So balancing the challenge and your skill, we just talked about. So you need to be picking a skill to develop and then applying it to your lead generation. Let's just say FSBOs. You need to practice the sell by owner script. You need to know where you're going to get those leads. You need to know how to get the phone numbers, how to get the contact information, right? So you're gathering all the skills in order to be able to make your lead generation calls on for sale by owners. And this is a side tip. When you say I'm going to do an hour lead generation, and the first thing you sit down is like, who am I going to call? You've blown it. That happens before your lead generation time, not during your lead generation time. So get prepared, get the skills, and get all your information together before you start the challenge. Second, make sure you're in the right environment. You don't want distractions. You want to be able to focus. I have ADD. I'm going to talk about that often here. And I get distracted very easily. In my room, I have my computer. The world is open on it. I've got my personal Chrome open, and I got my business Chrome open, and I've got 35 tabs open, and it doesn't bother me at all. I have people that freak out about that. It doesn't bother me at all. So I have a hard time focusing. So I'll talk about some tips and tools that you can use at the end of the presentation on how to help you if you have focus problems, but having the right environment is key. In all my brick and mortar offices, I would go around and hand everyone a stop sign on a piece of paper. It said lead generation happening. And you tape it to your door, you tape it to your cubicle, And you're not allowed to talk to somebody when there's stop signs out because you're interrupting their ability to do their lead generation. So that if you don't have a quiet space, set boundaries with the people around you that you need this time because it's the most important time in your job. Setting clear goals going into your lead generation time. I'm going to call for 1 hour. I'm going to make 20 calls. I'm going to set 3 appointments. Whatever those clear goals are, make sure you set them. Concentrate on one task at a time to be in flow. One task at a time. More tools to come on that. One task at a time. Lead generation. If it's sphere of influence follow-up calls, whatever it is, one at a time. Recognize time transformations. We have other stuff to do. We're going to go open a door for an appraiser or an inspector. We're going to show houses to a buyer. We're going to pick up our kids at school. That's a tough one to forget, guys. Done it. You need to be aware of the time because when you're in flow, time goes away. So the time transformation is something key to pay attention to as well. And then evaluate yourself after you're through with your lead generation. Sit down and say, this is what I did good. This is what I could have done better. This is what I need to work on my skill set. And this is what I want to do next time. And be honest with yourself. Don't be mean to yourself, but be honest with yourself how you can improve. It's constructive criticism with your soul. So setting up your lead gen zone, and you see what I did there, zone in the zone. Where are you going to do this? I like to do it away from my typical workstation because when I do that, I have too many distractions. Whether it's just picking up my computer and moving to the other side of my stand-up desk and doing it there. I am a horrible keyboardist, so I have a pad of paper as well. Let's talk about a few other things that I've learned over the years that are great when you're making lead generation calls. A mirror. Anybody know why you have a mirror? Some of you have heard this before, so come on, help me out. Remember, I don't want to talk at you. I'll talk with you. So you can see yourself. It's a mirror, right? Yes, thank you. You get to see what you look like. 55% of communication is nonverbal, and people hear it through the phone. And what you look like in that mirror is what they're hearing. So it's a great tool to remind you to be on. The other thing, I love earbuds or a headset because I talk with my hands. I'm not Italian, but I talk with my hands a lot. And it's something that, standing up is something that I also highly encourage you to do. You have more energetic conversations standing up, making the motions, looking in the mirror, smiling. And then there's that safety blanket. The script is right there in front of you, just in case that you didn't internalize. On scripts, I hated them. I had my managers always trying to, and coaches, come on, you got to do scripts and dialogues. And I resisted, except on my listing presentation. I memorized that, practiced so much. My wife hated me and I had to practice on my dog. I practiced. Then I came to a leadership position where I had to coach scripts and dialogues. Embarrassed. I was so embarrassed because I didn't know it and I had to practice it. And then I got back into sales and boom, wow, this is easy. Now I thought I was going to be fake. I thought that if I was doing these scripts and dialogues, I was going to sound like a robot. Do you know anyone looking to buy or sell real estate in the next 30 days? And I'm not that guy. What you need to realize is that whatever your job was before real estate is your script. Whatever life experiences you're bringing to real estate were the ones that you had at your other job or in your college career. As a kid, I was in the Army and I was in the restaurant business. That didn't prepare me to sell real estate. I needed those scripts and dialogues to know what to talk to those guys about. And when I internalize them, they don't feel like a scripting. That's the number one thing you could do to improve as a real estate agent, period. All right. We're frozen. Kelly. The next one says deliberate practice. Deliberate practice is taking that scripts and dialogues and getting to those 10,000 hours, doing it the right way. Be deliberate about it. Get a partner that you can have a practice session with and get somebody you trust too. And listen, when you're practicing with somebody, scripts and dialogues the first time, throw them softballs. Don't be that jerk that wants to try to, pin them down with an answer they can't get. Because no, maybe. So when you're doing that, be kind at first and then add layers on top of it of, complexities, and find somebody that you trust, because once you do have that person to trust, you're going to be more likely to continue doing the practice. When you have gotten to the point where you're ready to start making the calls on those for sale by owners, and don't do it for 5 weeks before you start. Get out there and make those calls, because that is also practicing and honing your skill. You need to get into your zone, your lead generation zone, and come up with your intentions. Who knows what SMART goals are? Okay. Come up with a SMART goal. Thank you. For what your intention is for this lead generation session. I'm going to make calls for 1 hour. I'm going to talk to 10 people. I'm going to have 3 appointments set. Whatever it is, make sure that it's specific, measurable, it's achievable, or action-oriented, whichever one you choose, relevant, and it's time-bound. So we just set all of those because it was a specific goal. I'm going to call for 10 or for 1 hour, make 10 calls or 3 connections, right? You can measure it, it's achievable. And for those of you that think you can't talk to 3 or set 3 appointments in 1 hour, you can, because other people do. You just need to get the skill set to get there. And I set the time for 1 hour. All right, so tools and tips. Again, that phone weighs about 5,000 pounds to a lot of it. And I'm there with you. I had an assistant one time that I would walk into my office and hand her my cell phone, and I didn't get it back until I made 25 calls. Sometimes we need someone to hold us accountable, like an accountability partner. Maybe your script and dialogue practice partner can be your accountability partner, but that is something that will help push you until you make this a habit of getting the calls done. We all need a CRM. This is something that, as a leader in 3 different organizations, I've seen, and coaching with Tom Ferry, we all have the ability to use a CRM. I'd say 70% of real estate agents have a login for a CRM. You know what I'm talking about, right? Some people might even have the quick link on the toolbar to get into that CRM, but I've talked to a lot of people, 5 to 10% use it on a daily basis. Lead generation is your most important job, and this is your most important tool for your most important job. And we give you at EXP, you have KV Core for free. I had a buddy of mine that I worked with at my last brokerage, and he was trying to decide to open his own company or to come with me to EXP. And I sat down and I showed him the whole platform, showed him KV Core. And in a good way, he had that ego drive to do his own company, but he picked KV Core. He paid $1,200 a month. It's an incredible tool. Now, a CRM can be a recipe box with January, February, March, April, May dividers and your index cards. And #1 agent, Global Banker Genesee, 2003, my first year in real estate, that was her CRM. And she called everybody. And she sat there, and she was from Arkansas, big voice, big, tall lady, just incredible agent. But she'd write down what the conversation was and move to the next month. And that's all she did, and write 3 handwritten cards a day. But that was her CRM. It kept her organized. She had the notes, and she had some that were stapled that thick. together of the conversations she had over the years with those people. If you're into technology, KV Core or another one, there are a bunch of them out there. They're key to your success. And no, I'm not being dramatic here. It is the most important thing you can do. And it pains me to see people struggling when, if they come into the business day one and they put their people in their phone into KV Core or into a CRM. And a lot of them will help you download the people in your phone into a CSV file and upload it for you. Just spend the time, spend 1 hour a day. I mean, you don't have anything else to do, you're brand new, right? So that, and if you have not done, if you're one of us that have the login and have the quick link and we're not doing it, commit to it, put it on your calendar and take the time to use a CRM. You set it up properly, and I get an email every morning. Here are the 10 people you have to call. How easy is that? My intention's set for me by a bot on KV Core. So I think I'm beating a dead horse there. CRM is the most important thing. All right. We talked about distractions. There are a lot of tools out there as well to help you focus. If we're going to be doing it, doing our lead generation on KV Core, again, no typing skills. I take a notebook, I jot down the notes, I come back afterwards, spend 15 minutes, transcribing it back into my CRM. But Focus or Freedom is a focus app that shuts down everything on my computer except KV Core or whatever app you're working with. I can't get into anything else until the timer goes off for 1 hour or however you set it up. Cold turkey is another one. I have a lot of people, and I'm one of these guys too. My lead gen consists of phone calls, text messages, and Facebook instant messaging. And you go into Facebook and you see everybody that's online with that little green light on them. You don't know who to call. Go on Facebook and click on one of those guys and just start chatting them up. In the coaching world, it used to be that you had to have a belly-to-belly or a phone call conversation. There are a lot of millennials that won't even talk to you during a whole transaction. Whatever the method of conversation they want to have with you is the one that you can count as a conversation. So if it's a text, I don't like email, but you can use it. Or if it's phone call or a belly-to-belly, those are the contacts. Cold turkey allows you to pick some of them that you want to leave open and shut down the rest of them. Rescue time is another one. Not real familiar with it. But that timer there is my baby. The Pomodoro timer. Have you heard of the Pomodoro technique? Now this is ADD, right? This is my baby. There's an Italian economist, economic student that had ADD and he couldn't study. So he took his mom's timer, turned it to 25 minutes. And these old school timers, click, 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 for 25 minutes. When he got through studying for those 25 minutes, he set it for 5 minutes. We got a glass of water, restroom, got a snack, stretched, whatever, and then set it for 25 minutes again. And who knows what Pomodoro is? It's tomato in Italian. It's a tomato timer, kitchen timer, and that's how it got its name. And then they did the science behind it, and they found out that this is optimal. The average person on an 8-hour workday is productive 2.8 hours. Productivity over 50 hours a week goes down. And studies show that the optimal work week would be 6 hours a day, 32 hours a week. Now, what the science says with Pomodoro is you do 4 Pomodoros, 5-minute break in between, you take a 30-minute break, you do 4 more Pomodoros, you will have the most productive day of your life. It's like that day before you go on vacation and you have 3 deals going, and you got to make sure everything's done before you take off on vacation. That's every day for you, if you can master something like the Pomodoro technique. So these are all ideas to get you into a place where you can get into the flow state, be in the zone to make those calls. Now, here's one thing that's counter to what I said earlier about being conscious of your time. if you are nailing it and you wanted to get 3 appointments and you got 4 and you're getting to the end of the hour, crank that Pomodoro and keep making calls because you're on a roll. And it's something about the way you feel. My mentor got me into real estate, taught me that she would never leave an open house without a lead. Never. It's your intention. And if it's rolling, go with it. So that being said, focus is a superpower. It's very challenging for some of us. However, if you're able to take that time for your lead generation, and that's all personal, and make sure that you can focus, get your skills up to the task, and get into the zone or flow state while you're doing your lead generation, it's going to change your career. It will just change your career. I am one of those guys that is challenged with focus, and that tick, tick, tick timer, and they're electronic. You can get them on your phone. There are probably 50 apps in your app store that you can use for free. It keeps me focused and it keeps me on track. So now that I've thrown all this information out on you, I've vomited, flow state on you, what kind of questions do you have? Trish?
So, thank you. They're really helpful and after so many years. But, this is an interruption-based kind of business. Things blow up in the middle of the day. Some are little blow-ups and not that important. Others are big blow-ups. Could, a deal could be going south. So how do we manage that inside of our need to be generous and to stay focused?
Right in Philadelphia.
Repeat the question.
Okay, so Trish asked, how do we stay focused? Because there are so many interruptions in real estate, in the day-to-day transactions and deals blowing up. Friend of mine, Philadelphia, used to be a cop, paramedic, told me that he was shot at people, saved people's lives, had people die on him. And there are no emergencies in real estate. And his voicemail said, "Hi, this is Matt of the Matt Medic team. This is an emergency. Please hang up and dial 911. Otherwise, we return calls between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Saturdays." There is nothing more important than your lead generation time, or you don't have a business. So put it on your calendar, time block it off, and commit to it. To set that intention, like we talked about earlier. Great question. Yes, sir.
Can you repeat the time on that Pomodoro technique?
So they're 25-minute at a time. Then you take a 5-minute break. You do 4 Pomodoros, a 30-minute lunch, and 4 Pomodoros.
Thank you.
Yes. And now that's the optimum day. Now, are we ever going to be able to do that? If you do all your lead generation in one day a week and schedule everything else, and I've seen people do it, then yes, you can. Maybe you just do the Pomodoros in the morning. When I have a task that I really have to focus on, I just set the Pomodoro and just get to work. Great question. Thank you.
And Ryan? No question. Any other questions?
Because I did such a good job presenting, right? Yes. Thank you, guys.
Keith probably had one of the longer, actually, we did have somebody fly in, but Keith is from Grand Junction. So he had to drive to get here. And we truly appreciate him showing up for us. Our next speaker has been a friend of mine for quite a while. In fact, the way I met him is I bought a crib for my granddaughter from his wife. Mr. Gary Jordan is a lifelong entrepreneur, been a realtor for 14 years. He is the team lead of the Jordan team. He's been an icon producer. He is a very, very solid agent, excellent at what he does. Definitely an inspiration to me in how he approaches his work and how he helps people. He's a mentor and educator with the Feeney and Company. And so if you've ever had an opportunity to walk through their training, it is superb. So please help me welcome Gary Jordan.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate that. Got a great crowd this morning. Everybody awake? Okay, super.
This time.
Okay. I'll try my best to keep you awake too now. How many here have had real jobs before real estate? Okay, quite a few.
Gotta stay in the bucket.
You're right about that. With your real job, what did you like or not like about it? Anybody have a comment? Some hands raised up? Yeah.
Yeah, then, like 8 to 6, keep showing up and being in an office and being locked up and getting a break just for lunch sometimes, or eating at my desk. It was really structured.
Exactly. I said, what was when you had a real job, what were the things you did not like about it? How was it structured and so forth? Is somebody, do you have a boss then who really told you when to show up, what to do, when to take a break, when to break for lunch and so forth? Anybody relate to that? Okay. Usually if you did that in a real job, you got a compensation. It was, planned ahead exactly what it's going to be. No matter how good a job you did, you got to earn a certain amount of money. Usually there's very, very seldom any kind of a bonus structure. Sometimes there was, but usually it's just a salary. You're working for the man, you're working for the lady and so forth. In real estate, we have the challenge of being our own boss. And a lot of times you may be a great employee, but you suck at being a boss, right? And so I just challenge you to start with. My topic today is going to be about time management. I challenge you each day, when you first start the day, you look in the mirror, which is not going to be a real pretty sight most of the time. Look in the mirror in 2 different kind of eyes. Look at yourself, first of all, with the boss mentality. Look at that person in the mirror. Say, man, get your head together, put on some makeup, comb your hair, get some nice clothes on. Man, wake up. Exactly. And then switch it around, try to have that mentality of an employee. Now, I hate to go to work today. I'm gonna go back to bed. I'm gonna go fishing, pet my dog, whatever. I gotta go through this grind again, and so forth. So my point is, if you can learn to be a good boss and be your toughest critic every day, it'll be very beneficial to you. At the end of the day, look in that mirror again with the boss mentality and the employee mentality. Did the boss talk about firing you? Did you have a very, very poor day? Poor activity, doing a bunch of junk stuff? Or to do a great job and the boss is proud of you? As an employee, when you finish that day, look in the mirror. Are you proud of what you got done? Or did you just survive another day? It's always a real challenge when you have a real job, unlike real estate, where somebody's telling you exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and so forth. So it's easier said than done. In real estate, if you'll treat your business, this is your business, true, as a real job, and you learn and develop the skills, it's a skill to be developed too, of how to manage your time, you're going to have some great success. This is a great business if a person treats it like a real business and puts in the real time, doing the productive kind of things. Now, in today's conversation about time management, I welcome hands in the air anytime to ask any questions about what do you mean by this. So starting off with today, 5 no matter what's of time management. What do agents do with their normal day? Now, this is kind of depressing if you're a boss, for sure. Normally, according to the NAR, 37% of your time each day is spent running errands. Crazy. 12% of your time is spent surfing the web, checking on sports scores and so forth. 18% of your time doing emails. 19% administration work. 11% social media, and only 3%, emphasize only 3% is spent talking to clients. Man, bunch of folks will be fired here if you were the boss, for sure. So the whole idea is in order to develop these skills of time management, how to control your time it's a very valuable skill to learn. And it takes some discipline, it takes some practice, it takes some mentorship and so forth. Let's talk about how to control your time. You go, first of all, learn to prioritize what's most important every day. Steve, you've been in real estate for a long time. What do you think are some most important things agents should do each day? I'm going to call it the big rocks.
Well, first thing comes to mind, like some clients are maybe more typically prospecting. You're not prospecting, you're not.
That's very, very important. Anybody else got an idea or guess of what is some of your most important things to prioritize? Yes.
Lead generation.
A couple of days ago, and it was interesting because they were talking about time management, but they said to prioritize yourself first. So in your calendar, prioritize the time for your, whether it be dinner with your family or whether it be X, Y, and Z, and then you start there and you build out from it. I thought it was interesting.
Well, that's important. You got to take care of yourself, no doubt about that. And we should all take time off for exercise, take time for eating the proper foods, take time to have some meditation, take time for some motivational, information each way to get you pointed in the right direction. All those kind of things are getting you ready to go to work. It should be done not during work hours. It should be done prior to work hours. This is the time you get to put your uniform on to go to battle. But it's so important. Good comment. Appreciate that. Prioritize your activity. Then you learn how to organize your activity. How many here consider yourself to be good organizers? Not very many hands come up. Not too many hands. Okay, I get it. Take some notes now. That's a big, important word is organize. We're going to learn to systemize also. Have a system in place. We're going to talk about this in more detail right now, but learning how to prioritize your most important activities, learning how to organize them, know when you're going to do them on a regular basis, learn how to systemize them. It's simple as that. It sounds real simple, but it just takes time, commitment to make this happen. The prioritized part of this equation. If you ever saw the activity before by having an empty jar, you fill it full of big rocks. You think, well, the jar is full. Well, then you put in some small rocks. They go down in amongst those big rocks. So the jar wasn't full of the big rocks, but now it's full. Then you put in some sand, some dry sand. It goes through the big rocks. It goes through the little rocks and settles on the bottom of it. Now it's full for darn sure, you think. Now pick a pitcher of water and pour into it. And just half the pitcher. So what we don't know is most of the time is when is our pitcher or our time, our 8-hour, 10-hour day actually full? We think it may be full right away. No. But start each day though, start each day with putting the big rocks in. The big rocks, most important thing as a realtor, no, hands down, is going on appointments with buyers or sellers or qualified clients, having that interaction, showing homes, listing presentations, and getting things done. That's where in a football analogy, that's when you're on the 2-yard line ready to score. You got to get those things done, and they're very, very important. Small rocks, at least 2 hours per day of lead generation activities. Like Keith said, there's a great presentation a while ago. You've got to spend time each day on the phone, talking to clients, getting leads and so forth, developing some business so we have some big rocks to go to. So have some clients to go to. The sand. That's following up on all transactions, emails and so forth, details. It's so easy in real estate to get yourself so busy every day, starting off your day, dealing with all the sand, dealing with all the water. You wear yourself out into the day, and you stop and think, what do I get done? nothing was really proactive, sort of helping you build your business. I forgot about the big rocks. I forgot about the little rocks that are so important. Anybody got a story you want to share about maybe experience you may have had? Everybody's embarrassed to tell the story, right? Melody's one of my friends and on my team and so forth. Melody's a hard-working, hard-charging lady, smart lady, and so forth. What are some of the challenges you have, Melody, with time management? You have any challenges with that?
Yes, I've never had a job, okay? I've employed myself all my life somehow, made it work, but my boss, you know, that was a very good thing to think about. I just have so many interests. It's really hard for me to limit myself to doing the most important things for my business.
Okay, good comment. Anybody else got a comment about that? I don't know everybody's names here, but I know some faces. I personally can tell you, Steve.
One of the things I discovered is that I used to be just out of the field for all my life. Well, I was at real estate. I was very, very. Not long after that, I learned that if I systematize stuff, then I can start being a lot more productive, get a lot more done. The more you systematize, the more productive you're going to be.
No question about it. No question. Systematizing is one of those three key factors there. The water part of this whole factor, the big rocks, small rocks, the sand, now the water, emails, social media, surfing the web, administration stuff, social interactions, and so forth. I find that I've been guilty of this way too many times. I find myself a lot of times you spend your whole day dealing with the larger stuff and not getting anything done. Wear yourself out. I'm bad about surfing the web. I'm checking on sports score. I'm checking about where to go fishing next time. And, just things that interest me that are so easy this day and time. One click away, and you're off in la la land, where you really want to be. So that's where the discipline comes in. You got to make yourself as a good employee of your business, because the boss is watching, which is you too. Make yourself do these important things. Deal with the big rocks first. Deal with the small rocks second. Those are the two most important things. And then at the end of the day, in the afternoon, deal with the sand and the water. I'm a pretty organized kind of a guy, most of the time. I'm a calendar guy. And it's not on my calendar, it probably won't get it done. But what I have done, I use a Google Calendar. Doesn't matter what kind of calendar you use, even if it's a manual calendar laying on your desk. Write these big rocks, small rock time slots down where you see it every day. I've got 2 hours blocked out every morning for lead generation activities. It's mostly phone calls. Maybe writing some personal notes, thank you notes, and so forth. Maybe with a Buffini training, Buffini system, maybe doing some pop bys, just dropping by to say hello. Just things that create activity in your business. But if you don't have it locked down, you're going to find yourself not doing it. I promise you. What are some other things that some people here in the group here does on a daily basis that helps you create activity and create business? Is anybody really big into the social media part? Yeah. What's some of your things you do each day involving social media? If you don't mind sharing with us.
Just video content, and also people, their past clients are following me, making sure you're interacting with their posts as well.
Been great. That's a whole new world we're involved with right now, and it's something I do this also. Have some people on my team helping with this stuff. But video content nowadays is very, very important. Yes.
Well, go ahead and repeat what is said, because online they can't hear anything from the audience.
Okay.
So just repeat whatever the audience says.
Okay. The comment was he does some video content, some social media marketing, and I kind of cover that correctly. Okay. I personally am trying to do more and more video content all the time too. I've got a YouTube channel. I may have a YouTube channel. Everybody's hands should go up this day and time. If you want to be noticed in the area when it's somebody wants to buy or sell real estate in the Colorado Springs area, or wherever you're from, you better be pretty close to that first page or top of that first page in a Google search. And one of the best ways to do that nowadays, I'm talking about marketing now, getting off track here, is having a lot of good video content in your system, being out there. Social media is the same way. There's all kind of great tools for that, but video content, you may be scared of the camera, you'll get over it, I promise you. But it's important. Thanks for your comment. Organize. We talked about prioritize. Now we're talking about organize. Lay out the year. You should have a calendar. I encourage you to have a physical calendar on your wall. It doesn't have to be real big, it'd be small, but of the entire year. So you'll know when you're going to go on vacation. You're going to know when you're going to big events, and when something special is going to happen during that year, you'll be able to see it and not let it get lost in the shuffle. Planning the month. You know, once again, I live off my Google Calendar. If it's not there, I don't get it done. Typically, a lot of times, I just have my day lined out. I don't see the week. I may not see the month. I sure don't see the year very often. So having that where you can see it on a regular basis, we know where you are, what to expect tomorrow, what to expect the next day is so important. Scheduling the week, once again, you know, it's really, really organizing your activity. I can't emphasize to you the importance of everybody utilizing a calendar in your business. Anybody have any recommendations for any kind of calendar you may use that really is the latest and greatest? Okay, I'm a Droid guy, so I've been using Google Calendar for a long time, but it works just fine. Works fine for me. I personally think if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. Comment?
I use e-calendars, e-contracts,
Uh-huh.
so it keeps track of all my due dates and things for my clients.
Great. She uses e-contracts. I mean, e-calendar and the e-contracts. That's a great. If it works for you, great. But have some kind of a calendar that you have with everything written down. So important. And prioritize the day. Each day have time blocked off for your big rock activities. I personally do my big rock activities, you know, typically showing homes and doing listing appointments and so forth. I prefer to do them in the afternoon and early evening. I try to have my mornings totally blocked off for, you know, a lot of the smaller rocks and some of the sand, especially the smaller rocks of lead generation activities, making your phone calls and writing your personal notes and, you know, stopping by to say hello, pop bys and so forth. You know, social media marketing, those kind of things. If you don't do this 2 or 3 hours a day, your business is not going to thrive. I promise you. You've got to have it in your schedule and just religiously do it every day. And but prioritizing the day is so important. Systemize. Have some systems in place. You know, create a habit each day, maybe from 9 to 11. That's my marketing lead generation activity time. If you keep doing it every day from 9 to 11, it's going to be like your become automatic time. But have it there and do it on a regular basis and become a good habit. Make it automatic. You can do a lot of things now that are pretty automated, especially social media posts and social media marketing, those type of things. You can have your video content set up. You can make a lot of videos in a day's time. Have them all scheduled to go out at certain times to your social media platform, would be LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so forth. And use the right tools. Like Keith was saying earlier, you've got to have the right tools this day and time. Have a good smartphone. Have a headset. I think it's a very, very convenient and very effective thing. Have a good CRM system, the customer relationship management system. So important. If you don't have a CRM system, I don't care if it's Outlook or whether it's KV Core or whether it's whatever it might be called. There are many, many good systems. Have something in place. You've got to have this day and time to keep you help keep you organized. So you know when to follow up with your clients, when to make those phone calls and so forth. What are some of the CRM systems that are used in this room that somebody really special likes? Chime. Okay, great. Excuse me. Follow-up box. Okay. Anybody else have any favorite CRM system? You know, most of them are all so powerful now with things they'll do. Most of us don't use them to even a small fraction of their capabilities. KV Core is another great CRM system. It'll do all kinds of things. You know, it's a whole educational process, learning how to utilize, a CRM system. But I recommend to you this day and time, if you're serious about lead generation, learn how to maximize the capabilities of your CRM system, no matter who or what it might be. They all have great tutorials. I can emphasize to you the importance of taking the time to learn how to use it, and utilize all the tools that it has to help you create leads, help you stay in touch with your clients, and so forth. So systems are very, very important. So basically, that's all I've got to say about time management. I don't want to just, drown you in too much stuff, but I just emphasize to you, it takes time to develop that skill. I recommend you study about time management, read some books about time management, Google some videos about time management, and study about how to develop those skills. But the key thing I think personally is, most important thing of all is to prioritize, organize, and systemize. If you do that, you'll have some great success. Any questions from the crowd now before anybody starts dozing off? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Gary. Appreciate it. Appreciate your insight. So we got two amazing speakers so far. Did you pick up one thing, just one thing to take home with you so far? More than one? More than one. Exactly. So I have another amazing speaker coming up, and she's got a very special guest with her today. Her daughter, Dawn, is here in the audience to watch her mom. It's awesome. It's awesome. Kelly Courtner. Kelly is a new realtor. She's been a realtor now for 3 years. Okay. She's an amazing realtor. She closed 42 transactions her first year. How many of you that have been in business for a long time wishes you closed 42 transactions a couple of years ago, right? Okay. Not only did she close 42 transactions her first year, she kept the pace. And we all know how the pace ended in the end of 2022 when it got a little bit more challenging, right? She kept the pace. She kept up with it. She's a previous military spouse. She has 2 kids, and we're blessed with one of them here today. And she's purchased 9 homes in her short tenure, because she's not very old. But she's purchased 9 homes, starting at 19, had 3 of them by the time she was 23, has this passion for real estate, and she does it well. So now help me welcome Kelly.
Well, hi guys. I want you guys to take it like all this in mind. I did not do any of this. So if you guys can listen to me and also do that, imagine how great you'll be. Okay, so let's start. Oh, that way. No, thanks, Carrie. All right, so she said a lot. Kelly said a lot that I am a mom of 2, a previous military spouse. We lived in 5 states. I lived in Germany. I traveled the world. I did nails for 20 years before I got into real estate. And like she said, I bought 3 homes by the time I was 23. And I basically didn't realize.
Hey, Kelly, you're gonna have to talk a little bit louder.
I did not know that I didn't know I needed to be in real estate. I did nails, and I was doing nails one day on a girl who was a single mom, and I'd already bought 8 homes. It never occurred to me that real estate could be something that I'd be really great at. And I decided that day that I was going to go take my tests. January 21st, 2020, I registered. And by March 4th, I had my license. I did not know, I guess I didn't know I was old enough. I'm 40 now, and the people who sold me my houses when I was 19, they were in their 40s. We didn't have selling sunset where you were young and you sold a lot of houses. So seeing a single mom younger than me made me realize maybe I could look into this career, and went with it. So starting out, let's see, this is how I did my 42 deals my first year. I believe these are where I'm going to talk about my support. I was a fly on the wall. I'll go into depth with that. I developed skills, my work ethic, and I created relationships, and I did learn from my mistakes. So being a fly on the wall, listen. What I learned is to listen, do not reinvent the wheel. Someone's probably already done it. So why don't you just leverage those people and learn from what they've done and implement to your success? Ask questions and sharpen your tools. Okay, so what I learned, being a fly on the wall. When I get a referral, I want to share this. I'm in a group of agents that just collaborate, and I was just listening to people who knew what they were doing. I'm new, I don't know anything. So you really have to take it in when you are learning, because you can think you know it all, but if you think you know it all, you're going to lose a lot. So a good friend of mine told me about a referral situation he does. He says, I always send a gift before I actually close the deal. So if you call me and say, I have a referral for you, I'll send you something as a thank you for even thinking about me. I learned that from being a fly on the wall. I sent this guy in Littleton a $25 Amazon gift card, closed the deal, and he called me and he says, you know, Kelly, I had a referral partner in Colorado Springs, but he was out of town, and I like the way you do business. So moving forward, we've actually co-listed in Littleton together. We've actually closed he gave me 2 other clients. So starting with just that little bit of advice from somebody being a fly on the wall got me to start thinking, okay, appreciate somebody who's going to give you something, and not because you got a paycheck and then thank them ahead of time, build those relationships. And when you have that support and you need answers, we have a great support system. I am an orphan, I say here. My sponsor is in Arizona, but I know that I have everybody everybody shares their playbook. Everybody will help you. If you need answers, you can ask somebody for help, and we're all willing to help each other, which everybody says they do that. But firsthand, I think I actually got that. I knew that I could ask for help and get those answers, because I knew I didn't know it all. And because somebody's already done it, let's just go there. Like, if you have a hard transaction, somebody's probably can help you through it. If not, you guys work together and someone will help you get through it. I'm going to talk about how to farm. So I didn't know how to farm. How would I know? I'm new. So listening, as we get on that fly on the wall, I farm once a month in my neighborhoods. I make it very important to do little silly Popeyes. I like Popeyes. I think they're personable. You're not just, a postcard's not going to get somebody to think about you. And honestly, not even a conversation heart dropped off on their desk. You need to still have those personal connections with people, but being front of mind and having those relationships of your neighbors, let them know that you are in real estate. I say, don't be a secret agent. I will tell everybody I'm in real estate. I mean, that is the first thing. I want a referral. I don't care if I don't have an agent in Tennessee. I have a friend in Tennessee. I'm going to tell you I have a friend in Tennessee, and then I'll find a friend in Tennessee, and I will get those relationships built. I've gotten deals from going to AT&T. My phone number got messed up. It's not a good thing when your phone number gets messed up and you're in real estate. Everything has your number on it. I'm complaining. I'm really nice, but I'm complaining to the workers, and there's a client sitting there. And I said, do you want to buy a house? Less than 45 days later, we bought a house. I went to Lowe's. I'm on my Zoom calls because I do these weekly Zooms with my upline. And I'm always busy, but I'm Zooming and I'm still paying attention with my ADD. And they're talking to me on the Zoom, and I'm talking to this person. Do you want to buy a house? And we close on a house. I don't mind asking for somebody to use me. You have to get out there, because if you're a secret agent, you're not going to get the business. Be a thorn in someone's side. Be able to help somebody. Do a CMA for free. There is no reason to not offer your skills, because we pay for them anyways. Just tell them, because you never know who those people might know. It may not be my neighbor wanting to sell a house, but their mother-in-law might want to sell a house. So again, don't be a secret agent, and make sure you farm. I farm a lot, and I'm working on fine tuning my farming because it is a lot to walk your neighborhood. I wish I had the paper boy that could throw it, but I do believe it still needs to be personable. My kids can drop it off and sometimes they don't all make it. But it is important that you do your own footwork because they get to know you and not just your assistant or somebody who doesn't really know you. You can't have somebody else sell you as more than you can sell yourself. And okay, my work ethic, I think that for sure, a lot of my skills was being a manicurist for 20 years. I learned that if I don't work, I don't get paid. So something important is you have to show up to the job and you have to work it. No one is, you can join a team and you can hope you're going to get those leads. But when those go away, how are you going to learn to get your own leads? You have to learn how to do it yourself. So nothing is handed to you in this business. They will all promise it. They will not give it to you. Maybe the first 2 deals, but you have to learn in order to be successful on your own. The goal is to be successful on your own, not always getting everything handed to you. I say take the dirt listings. This is a good one. I don't ever not take an opportunity. It might be a piece of land in the middle of nowhere, and I get this referral. This is an example. I think it was a $500 commission, and I probably owed a referral fee of who knows how much, right? It was nothing, but it was an opportunity. And I always see it as an opportunity to get to know somebody and hopefully they like the way I work and they recommend me. That's what I want. At the end of the day, you want referrals. So I took this piece of land. And another thing, I do not cold call, but when I have you on the phone, I really want to get to know you. So this gentleman calls me. He's got a number that I know the zip code because I'm from that area. Well, of course, I'm going to go into details because I want him to use me. So I'm got to get you to know me. And he's telling me he has a Marietta number where I'm from, but he's in Arizona. Well, what part of Arizona? Oh, I'm in Needles. Oh, my parents have a house in Needles. Just keep talking. Well, they were neighbors and he just called me off of a lead site, probably Op City when it was working. And I sold his $500 land. Okay. He actually gave me a futon because we were so close and he was moving. So it was even better. And I'm in Colorado. This is an Arizona person that wants to buy land in Colorado. So he's not even here. And that turned into him recommending me his daughter, him recommending his son-in-law, and he's bought another property from me, all from the dirt and all from the time. And I did not care that was going to give me maybe $200. It was never about the money. And I think that if you get your mindset that it's never about the money, it's about the relationships, the money will come. It is important to know you're not just doing it for the money, because if they see that, they're not going to use you. They want to know that you care about them from start to finish and then a follow-up. So that's why I sell dirt anytime. Okay, so these are the obviously relationship businesses. It takes a lifetime, I think, or they say it takes a lifetime to build a clientele when you're doing it in the beauty industry. I built my clientele probably 6 months every state that I lived in, even in Germany, I did it. And it was based on referrals. And I appreciate those. That's why, when you're even doing nails and I'm putting it based on real estate, you sell houses. And if you're living in Tennessee, I want you to know I'm in Colorado. I go to a lot of events. I travel a lot we've gone to Florida. I've gone to Arizona. I'm heading to Texas. I am going to build relationships and usually by the pool. You go and build those relationships because I want someone to know me and trust me and use me for their parents. I don't always need them to know and use me, but hey, if I talk to Kelly in Colorado, maybe I'll consider them. And I'm really good at my follow-up with, once I get you as a client, once I get you as a referral client, I will always follow up with that referral agent because I want them to know that I'm taking care of their clients, because they could be really great clients or maybe just someone they met down the street, but you're going to know the next time you send me one, you might want to send me your mom because I'll take care of them too. So that to me is really important. I say, don't be selfish. And I'm a mentor. I was really lucky to have a great mentor. And I learned a lot my first year. 2020, I wrote 10 contracts for the same guy. I mean, a lot I've heard because I'm new. I hear that you usually maybe do 12 deals a year. You do one contract and you get the house. Well, we were in a situation where you had to do 10 different buyer contracts. And I learned a lot because I really got lucky to learn a lot. So because I saw that I was able to help or learn a lot, I wanted to give back. So I became a mentor my first year. I did enough transactions that I had enough under my belt, but I also felt like if I did not know the answer, I knew that I could find out the answer And I was better off to help somebody than somebody who wasn't really giving the investment time towards somebody. So don't be selfish. I feel like do stuff without expecting anything in return. A lot of relationship building in my career is let me help you do something and with an open heart and not because you want something in return. Why does that work? I got a referral from a appraiser lady, my very first listing 3 years ago. I'm scared, nervous, and I'm at this appraisal appointment. And we couldn't even go in the house because it was COVID. She didn't even go in the house, and we're 10 feet away with our mask on. She's talking to me, and I'm shaking. And of course, I had my mentor that tells me how to meet the appraiser. Always meet the appraiser. And she's asking me these questions, and I was not good at my what is it when you write your description of the property. She's like, Kelly, you need to do this, you do this. Well, I hung on her like a leash. She's an appraiser, and she's one of my best friends now. And she has helped me along the way. She gave me a BPO referral, and I didn't charge for it. I didn't care. My friend asked me to do something, so I did it. So I met these gentlemen. They want to flip their house on their own. And I went there and I gave it to them for free. And I pitched myself, hey, if you are interested in selling this house without you, I could probably get you more money in this. And oops, 2 days later, they called me and I have the listing. So don't be afraid to ask when you're there. They know I wasn't there to sell the house. They thought I was just there, but always give and ask and hope that they see your heart and want to use you. And it's going good. So let's see, am I going the right way? Yeah. So I made a few mistakes. I will admit to your mistakes. Okay. So important. This industry is, there are agents, should be on the same team, in my opinion, buyers and sellers. At the end of the day, it is not about us. It is about our clients. I'll tell you a few things. My clients did not wear a mask during COVID, and man, did I get ripped a new one from the agent. Your clients did not wear a mask. It was a text message. Well, I felt like that text message needed a phone call, because respectfully, I wanted to apologize to that client's or their buyers, the sellers, because it was not okay that my clients didn't wear a mask. I couldn't force them to wear a mask, but I wanted them to know that, hey, apologize for your clients for me. And I think that some people in this industry might want to fight. Someone's, not everybody's nice, but step up, own it, apologize. And those relationships are what you build on for future relationships. I know that at the end of the day, it's not personal. It's not between you and me. It's about getting to the closing table and have that open communication with all agents. So apologize when you mess up. And no real estate transactions are the same. I can tell you, I don't think I've had one that's the same. I've done 100 deals in 3 years, and not one is the same. And leverage the people that might have been doing this longer, and maybe they've had it, but at the end of the day, I bet we've never had the same transaction, right? Everything pops up. You've got to be flexible because everything changes, and just got to be on your toes, but make sure you do it with a great heart and not selfishly. Do it at the end of the day. It's about your clients and not about yourself. Okay, and own your mistakes and be willing to learn. I told you that. Let me go one more just to make sure. Okay, so another thing that I did, some of the mistakes that I have made, I've been fired from a listing. I have. They didn't like me. Our communication was not there. I tried, but at the end of the day, they didn't like me. Did I get mad, upset? I learned what I could have done differently. I haven't won a listing. I mean, I have, but I've lost listings, and I've asked why. I have no problem. I go to a listing presentation and I do my spew, and it was actually a referral from that appraiser. Meet their appraisers. They are very helpful. She gave me this listing appraisal, and I confidently went in there thinking I got the deal, because half the time, don't you think when you get a personal referral, they're probably going to use you? He didn't. Well, I asked him when I left, why didn't I do it? And I needed to know. And he said that I did not offer a handyman, and I didn't offer a staging, and I didn't offer I added a cleaning. So what I did, in my presentation, so it was pennies. When you think about losing an opportunity of a great commission and a handyman's $100, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I think about that? Obviously, the previous listing or agent that came in offered it. So I went home and I rewrote my listing presentation, because I'm not going to lose the next time by shortening myself and not realizing maybe a couple $100 to get the great deal. So be ready to change it up. If you think you know what you're doing and it doesn't work, try something else. So I need a listing to go see if it works now. And I'm going to talk about thick skin. So I have cried 3 times in this business. 3 people have made me cry. And I've had to work with one again. And at the end, I could tell them I don't want to work with them. I could tell my clients, you know, ethically, I could say this was a very hard transaction, but I don't let that stop me. I will absolutely call that agent. We've had to work together and we worked through it, and you cannot take it personal. You just have to roll with it. Some people might just have a bad day. They might make you cry. Don't tell anybody you're new, because then they'll really make you cry. I wouldn't make you cry because I've been new, but ethically, I feel like we have to help each other, and you should help somebody new. Some people have bad days, but you have to just be okay with going with the flow and actually not taking it personal because they might have a bad day. Because if I take it personal, now my clients are going to have a bad time and we're going to have a hard, difficult time to get to the closing table. So someone has to be the bigger person to step up and just be the bigger person, you know, don't let them roll. I cried, but just roll with it because people aren't maybe as able to see that they hurt people. And yeah, and I told them they made me cry. I'm honest. And did I go? Okay, so I do believe that success in real estate can be hard, but if you're dedicated and you're willing to work, I will be the first to tell you that I do not have a CRM. I'm bad. I am new. My training was, I hit the door running, and I am taking the time now to back up and sharpen my tools. I know what I am doing. I mean, imagine if I actually followed up with those 100 people, I'd probably have a little bit more business, but take it from me. Don't do what I do. Take a CRM and get it serious and get it organized. My ADD is off the charts, but I think it does help me do a million things at once. I think the follow-up is the most important thing, especially the referral, doing nails and helping, like understanding that referral is the big deal and asking people for that referral. So that's what I'm working on right now, just to get my tools sharper, because I know I'll be more successful with that. And I think that's it. If you're willing to learn and lead and help with other people, open your heart, help others. And really, that's a big one, is be a good human, because I don't want you guys to make people cry. Just be nice. Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's all I got. Talk fast. Yes.
You mentioned that you should not close.
Hi, I'm Kelly. Do you want to buy a house? That's my cold call. I am a personal to. Oh, okay. That's fine. So your question was, I don't cold call. And what do I do to lead generate? I don't shut up. I don't shut up. When I like to go places. We have kids. We go to church. We go out. I make it I will wear my name tag upside down at the grocery store and hope someone looks at it. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's so upside down. This market is crazy. Are you looking by yourself? I have no problem talking to anybody about it. And they may not be moving or buying or selling, but at least they know what I do, right? And if I do have send out cards. Like I love send out cards. I do have mailbox power. I'm more of a gift giver type of person, because I don't like just a postcard. I want you to have something tangible that you can think about me. I do, you know, the Century 21, it's like 1955 and still on your refrigerator magnet, you know, those. I like doing to-do lists. It may not do anything, but I have gotten 2 deals in my neighborhood because my magnet was on the refrigerator. So just have that stuff available, because they're going to throw away the pen. They're going to eat the popcorn you're going to deliver to them, but get something that actually is useful that they might be able to use. But follow-up is the best. I mean, the next person they can walk in could totally use them because you never followed up, even though you gave them a magnet, right? So this industry is not commitment like heavy. They are first come, first serve, or the shiny object of, oh, you'll help me. I used my agent 7 years later, and she never popped by. She never did anything, but I was loyal. And now I realize I would never use her again. No offense, but somebody else might work harder to get me. And I think that that's important in the industry. Anybody else? Yes, you. Don't get mad at me because I don't have a CRM. Thanks.
What is the one marketing thing you do for most business for it? And the money maker for it?
Well, okay.
Repeat.
I'm gonna repeat the question. So one of the number one marketing things that I do, I can say I started out with Op City. I closed 17 deals and I called 400 people. That was my start. But I believe that my open house structure, I believe I want the next deal when I get the deal. I have done 1%ers. I'll tell you this. No family member's going to trust me for a 3% commission when I'm a first time agent. I didn't felt that. So let me get it for 1%. Let me sell my soul and try to do it. But what I did is I leveraged it. I do a nosy neighbor. When I am doing an open house, we have professional photos always. I learned that in my group. Not everybody does that. It is important. What you present out, it's like a dating app. Which way are you going to swipe if you see a beautiful house or you're going to see an iPhone, right? I need that one that wants to like, look at mine. So I will do a nosy neighbor for coming soon. I apologize for the traffic. I say come an hour early because I want to meet the neighbors. Why? I want to meet the neighbors because I want to buy or sell their house. So then I will talk to them. I don't do sign-in sheets. I do not do sign-in sheets at open houses. I will talk to everybody. I'm not up their butts. I will let them walk around. Do you have any questions? Oh, the sprinklers, you know what? I don't know about the sprinklers. So give me your number and I'm going to ask with that. I'm going to find out what they want. And I will now have you as a client. I will, of course I ask, are you represented? Because I won't do anything. I believe in ethics. I do not believe in, I'm not the type. So if they have an agent, I'll push it a little bit to see who their agent is because everyone has an agent because they don't want to be bothered. But if I can find something to talk to them about, I will get their number and I will follow up that way. And then when I close that house, I will send them a card, just sold. It was great working with the neighbor. If you need anything, let me know. So I think I've gotten most of my business by the next business. Like I need this to get to that, and it's hustling. You have to hustle. Nobody is handing in this business to you. Is that good?
So closing 40 deals in a year is a bit of a chore. Right? It's a lot of work. Do you have a team? Do you have assistants? Who do you work with to help you with that?
The first thing you need is a TC. I got my TC I got my TC at my 5th deal and I was new and she just wanted to help me. But little did she know I do the 42 deal. So I was she thought she was like going to get an easy job, but it got busy. 10 deals in 1 month. Like it was rough. So honestly, because I am ADD and I am not organized, I put people in place. I have a great TC that helps me. I have great friends that help me. I have hey, maybe it is a CRM. Okay, it's in my send out cards, but it's just not an email that people are like looking at and you're like tracking that they're looking at your emails. That's the thing. So honestly, putting people that are better than you in place to make you look good is, I think, how I did it. I knew that if I'm not good at this, I put someone there to help me. And that's what helped, is pick the right people to make you successful.
What other questions do we have for them?
If anybody needs a mentor or somebody to look over contracts, I always volunteer and I don't care. Yep.
Lead generation system.
I did like a Zillow or something. I paid, okay, I've done Quizzo, 0. I've done whatever set schedule, 0. I've done Zillow. Let me tell you everybody about Zillow. If you don't have a lot of money, ask the questions. I paid $1,800 a month. The very first phone call I got, I have an agent and I called Zillow and I said, I'm not okay with this because I will not ask. I know this is if you do Zillow, you have to dig deep and you have to meet them. And I'm not ethically going to do that. I do not. You have an agent, I'm respecting that. Okay, you might lie, but I'm not going to push it. I tried to cancel Zillow because I was really upset with the way that they were trying to make me feel like I had to like steal someone as a client. And they said, well, it's a 6-month commitment. It's $1,800 a month. If you cancel, you have to pay 3 months. So they basically got me to stay and it cuts off that day. So you would get nothing and lose a lot of money. So I ended up closing 2 deals with Zillow and I broke even and I've never used another system again. No, I don't, unless you're paying 20 grand. I don't know what everybody pays, but I don't have the money to go pay all that money. And I do believe, like doing nails for the 20 years, referral base is everything. That's why I have people everywhere. I'm in with EXP, I'm in 10 states and I have 24 people under me. And that's built my community so far. But if I don't have a state, I'll be honest, I'll choose a KW agent in a different state before I'll choose EXP because I see that as opportunity to try to get them over to EXP. Yeah. Anything else?
Other questions? You did a wonderful job.
I get the opportunity to make an introduction of our key first lady of the event today. Kelly Fasterling is the founder of this event today. She's a founder of the Wealth Summit, done a great job. This is our, what, 6th Wealth Summit, Kelly? Kelly is originally from Pleasant Grove, Utah. She's a wife, mother of 4 kids, and she's a realtor, a real estate investor, and also a financial advisor. She's closed over 90 real estate deals in the last 10 years, mostly investment deals and so forth, doing very well in that case. But today she refers out all of the real estate business to members of her team, because she focuses all of her time on helping other realtors become successful and help them develop some financial freedom and so forth. Kelly is a very good financial advisor. She's an advisor for quite a few people in this room. And I highly recommend having a conference with her sometime. Just let her tell you what she knows. It's a lot. She's a smart lady. So, Kelly, Fasterling. And today's her birthday. Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. It is nice to see a full room and nice to have double that on the Zoom. So I really appreciate you guys taking your time because it's a lot of time today. I'm going to take my topic today, my time, and we're going to talk about leverage. First, though, let me tell you a bit about why I'm standing here in front of you. Tell you a bit about my story. Okay. I did what a lot of us were taught. Go to school, get a good job, you're going to be just fine, right? How many of you followed that? Go to school, get a good job path. Okay, a few less in this room because we're entrepreneurs. But I did that. For 25 years, I was in software development. Loved it, got laid off a few times, but it was a neat career. In that career, you have such a myopic focus on your finances. That focus is this 401k that you get, and you get 6 funds to choose from. Have at it. I chose. In 2001, I lost half of that, half. In 2008, I lost half of it again. Anyone share this success with me? Losing half their resources in a year. Okay. 2006, though, was a little bit of a different year for me. In 2006, that high-tech job, that was my second layoff because, companies go out of business. So that was my second layoff. At the same time, my husband left. He left me with 3 teenage boys, 11, 13, and 15, of whom I had 100% financial responsibility for. No job, 3 children, and diagnosed with a melanoma. So I'm sitting there in 2006 saying, I'm not liking this year very much. Something needs to change. I had to go figure out first how to put food on the table because these guys eat a lot, a lot. How to put food on the table, how to sustain, and then how to recover. Because I had a 401k that was not in great shape, and I had a lot of work to do. So I started to shift. I started to get educated. My first education was Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, who's had the pleasure of reading this book. A lot of us in this room. That was my start into real estate investing. I got it. I heard his message. It resonated with me. And I decided that was the way I needed to go. Pay $26,000 like Kelly. Yeah, what do you invest in? Pay $26,000 for his education, for his mentoring, got my first house. It was a lot of work. And I couldn't find my second. Couldn't find my second because this was back in 2012, when every time you'd put a bid in on a house, you had 20 bids behind it. And it made no sense to buy as an investor. So I had to shift and juggle. So today we're going to talk a little bit about leverage, but that setback for me back in 2006 put me on a trajectory that really helped me blossom and grow. It helped me move into real estate, in which I got my real estate license. And I have done some transactions, but I am not Kelly by any means. I'm not doing 40 transactions a year. But it put me on a trajectory of hopping into investing, doing a whole lot of referrals, but then understanding better how to manage money and how to take what we have and make more out of it. So back to Kiyosaki. How many of you have read his next book, The Cash Flow Quadrant? About five of us. Okay. That is an amazing book too. Let me kind of share the highlights of what he's talking about here. He has the left side of the quadrant and the right. The left side of the quadrant, that's where all the people are. 95% of us sit on the left side of the quadrant. How much of the money do you think is over there? It's 5% of the wealth, right, Hunter? 5% of the wealth is over on that left side because they're employees. They work for somebody. They're trading time for money. There's no leverage in that. There's no benefit. How many ever hours they work, that's how they get paid. And maybe they get paid a little more depending on their job, but that's how they get paid. Now, that lower left quadrant, that's self-employed. That's really where the bulk of us sit, right? Self-employed. We own a job, but we are still trading time for money. So Kelly's doing 40 transactions in a year. I can tell you she's hustling time for money in that. There's no leverage in that. It's how many listings you can put on, how many buyers you can show around. Okay. So what he talks about in this book is get yourself shifted to the right side of the quadrant. So how do you do that? Number one, up in the top right, you become a business owner. Now, how many of you in your real estate business think you're a business owner? I certainly did when I first got in. I'm a business owner. I own this business. It's up to me. I'm going to do this. Okay. His definition of a business owner is you can step away from that business. You can disappear for a full year. And that business is thriving. It is doing better without you. When you step away for a year and you just disappear. Now, how many of us are business owners? Exactly. Exactly. When that finally hits you, that you have no leverage, it is up to you. You realize that you don't have a business. You don't have a system that creates your income. For me, it's about passive income. What can create income so you can step away and not have to work as hard as Kelly is working. So, and then in the bottom right, he talks about being an investor and creating leverage on your investments. Okay. How do you take your money and make it do more for you? So in this session, I'm focusing in the lower right quadrant. Over lunch, I'm going to focus on the top right quadrant. Okay. How to create leverage. And we're going to talk about the 5 different things that can help you to create leverage in your life. One is time, the benefit and the value of time. A second is rate of return. And we don't often put it in perspective what the rate of return is truly going to do for us and give us. And I evaluate people's portfolios on a daily basis. I help people retire on a daily basis and look at where they're at and where they're headed. And as I look at it and they say, well, but that's doing pretty good. Yeah, but when you start looking at what that return can or can't do for you, it's eye-opening. So I'm going to show you that a little bit. The power of zero. Have any of you heard of the power of zero? Is that a concept you've heard of? A couple nodding your heads. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about the power of zero and how that can create leverage in your assets. The power of and. Is that a concept anyone's come across? Okay, no one. So that we're going to go over that and how you can create some multiplication. And then everyone's heard of other people's money. We do it in real estate all the time. We use the bank's money to help people buy houses. So in real estate, we've kind of got this one down a little bit, using other people's money. So let's go in. I'm going to combine and put together time and return because they kind of go hand in hand. Okay. Compound interest is the benefit, the value of both time and return over time. So Albert Einstein, notably one of the brightest fellows that we've come across in the last century, said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. So when you really get your arms around the concept of compound interest, you'll understand it. So let's kind of look at a chart. Let's kind of just look at numbers. So back here, we're looking at ground zero, $10,000. If you had $10,000 to invest this year, okay? And we're talking about investing that at a 6% return. And we're going to take that $10,000. That's just it, just a flat $10,000 for the year. And we're going to let that $10,000 just grow at 6% for 10 years, for 20 years, for 30 years. You can see what time did to magnify that $10,000. Now I have 3 boys and I talk to them constantly about start early, start now. Don't wait and don't think you're going to get to my age and then hope you're going to recover your retirement, because that time will not be on your side at that point. It'll be difficult to allow it to give it the time to build. So that $10,000 investment became $57,000 over a 30-year period at 6% interest. Okay, that's a lot of growth. If you waited until you were 55 or 60 to place that $10,000 in the bucket, you're not going to see that kind of growth. So let time work for you. And you guys that are still young, start, just whatever you can, just start. Take a percentage of every check you get and set it aside and just invest it. Next, let's couple time with the rate of return. And I just want to show you some numbers so that it will start to sink in terms of what that rate of return can do for you. Now, this lower line here, you can see the flat line there. Okay, the flat line, that's the bank. That's bank interest. Now, I work with a lot of realtors on their financial planning. And I tell you, all of us that are in a commission-based business put a lot of money in the bank, right? That becomes our go-to place. And the reason it is, I mean, I have realtors that have 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 sitting in a bank, flatlining like that. Now, you know, and then there are others that have 5,000 or 10,000. So whatever your level is, doesn't matter. The fact that they have such a large percentage of their asset base flatlining for them is not an investment strategy. Now, we all have things to take care of, and we are all in a situation where we may not know when that next commission is coming in. And if we don't know when it's coming in, we've got to take care of ourselves, right? So we've got to have that liquidity so that we have the float to make it through October, November, December, right? But we want to be sure to look at the opportunities and where else it could go, because there are other options for that liquid money that you need to touch. So if we go now to the second line here, that's that line we were just looking at on the last page. That's your $57,000 6% line. So 30 years, 6%, $57,000. Now this is the part that most people don't see. The next number here is 8%. So that third line is 8%. You can see the growth over a 30-year period at 8%. It's just 2 points above the 6%. It's almost double the money. It's about 100,000 after 30 years. So that compounding with that just 2 extra points makes a massive difference. Now let's go to the last line here. This one that comes way up here, it's 300,000 up here. That's the same $10,000 investment, earning 12% for 30 years. So now if you have the choice of earning 6% or earning 12% for a 30-year period of time, would you settle for 57,000 or 300,000? That's the difference. So you really do have to take a look at what it's earning you. And then you've got to look at the amount of cash that you keep in the bank and look for alternatives to bank assets. Let's go to the next concept, the power of zero. In this concept, you kind of see the green and the black. Let's do the black first. This is the market between 2000 and 2013. It was up And then it was down just as steeply. And then it was up, and then it was down. That is called the lost decade, 2000 to 2013. If you started with $100,000, by 2013, you had $100,000. Now, these were some of my earlier years in investing, and I'll tell you, those were some tough years because you're thinking that you're starting to do the other lines that we were looking at on the last page, and you're not. Your portfolio is not growing at all. I was just listening to a podcast this morning, and there are some pundits that are saying we're headed into that next 10-year window. I don't know. But you're hearing some talk about that. So how do you then leverage the power of zero so you don't have another 2000 to 2013, another lost decade? So if we take this and we start with investing just $1,000, and if you go take $1,000 and you earn 10% on it, it's a good year. You earn 10%, your 1,000 went up to 1,100. Now, if the market drops and you lose 10%, where are you sitting? You're sitting at 990, right? You're down below your 1,000. Now let's do that in another cycle. It goes up again and it drops another 10%. You're down even farther. By the time you go through 5 cycles, you're sitting here at 950. You went backwards if it just goes up and down the same amount, okay? Now, if we instead earn 10%, and then we're in an asset class that prevents losses, where we don't go backwards at all. Now, if the market tanks, you just don't get anything. You get zero, but you don't go backwards. So now you flatline for a year. And then when it starts to pop back up, you start to go up again. You get another 10%. And then you flatline for another year. But I can tell you, flatlining is a whole lot better than taking the fall backwards. At the end of the day, that $1,000 grew to 1,610. So it puts you in a whole different position on a $1,000 investment to get it protected. The next concept, the power of and I know I'm rolling through these. We can sit down offline. We can talk about these if you want to know more. The power of and. This was, for me, one of the most pivotal concepts that I learned. And Steve, I'm gonna have you stand up because I'm gonna introduce you. Steve Carruthers has been absolutely powerful in my life. He did what Kelly did, is he just talked to me. I met him when I was looking for my second house. You can sit up. I met him when I was looking for my second house back in 2012, and I couldn't find it. I was at a happy hour, we were chatting, and he was looking for a credit partner. And so we got together. I understood what he did, and he introduced me to a concept called Done For You Real Estate. I started investing in that program, and that's kind of where I've created a whole bunch of transactions. Then he came to me and he just a casual comment. Kelly, Michael's teaching this class up in Keystone. You need to go. Well, Steve, what's the class? It's about managing your money. You need to go. I mean, it was that you need to go. Okay, I trust you. I'll go. So I went, and that was the power of and. I learned all about that. Now, Steve's third introduction to me was, Kelly, you need to come and look at EXP. Steve, okay, just come to lunch. I did. Anyway, so the power of it. Let me share this idea with you. Okay, when we invest, we typically think of the different asset classes we can invest in. We can invest in the stock market. We can invest in the bank. We can invest in a CD. Right now, actually, they're pretty good. We can invest in a life insurance-based product. There are a lot of places in real estate, a lot of places we can put our money. The power of and is a different concept. So let's just say you were kind of choosing where you wanted to invest, the stock market or maybe a life insurance-based product. Okay. And maybe either one of them earns 9%. You pick or choose which one you like. Okay. If you take that $100,000, which is have $100,000 to invest, and you let it roll for 20 years, you're going to end up at 9% interest with about $600,000. You can be pretty happy with that. That's an okay return. Okay. Now, if you're a savvy real estate investor, I know a bunch of you in this room are, where you've done some houses yourself, you can spot a good deal. You can bring that home. And you invest in, maybe you're getting a 17% return. Because in real estate, you know, you get the cash flow, the appreciation, you get some depreciation, maybe some cost segregation. There's some bennies that you get, especially as a realtor. And maybe you're getting 17% return. And if you had to choose between the 17 or the 9, now that 17% return, we're just doing math. Just take 100,000, compound it out for 17 years. It's 2.4 million. Which one of these two are you going to do? Are you going to do the index universal life or the stock market? Or are you going to do real estate? How many hands in this room are going to go up for the real estate? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's or, either or. Which one are you going to do? Let's talk a little bit about and. How do we couple both of them? So now I have to take the stock market out because you can't put it in the stock market and take it out and go invest in real estate. But you can do that in a life insurance-based product. You can put your money in a life insurance-based product, pick the right one, design it right, fund it right, use it right, a lot of caveats, but you can use a life insurance-based product and you can put the money in. And then when you're ready to buy your next house, or maybe you're a crypto investor, or maybe you've got, you know, great deals on futures. I don't know. But when you're ready to take it and do something else with it, you loan it to yourself. So you're still earning 9%. So you put the money in, it's still earning 9%. You loan it to yourself, you've got to pay for the loan. So you pay 5% for the loan. A lot of these products cap 5%, even with the interest rates going as high as they are. They're capped at 5%. So you're making 9% on money that's not there because you bought a house. You're paying 5% for the benefit. So you're really getting a positive 4%, what we say a positive 4% arbitrage. You're making 4% on money that's sitting over in your real estate. So now you add, it's in real estate making 17, and you add the 4% to it, how much are you really making? You make 21%. At 21%, how does that compound out? To 4.8 million. You know, those couple of points different in the rate of return really multiply over time. It's you know, some stunning numbers. But if you just run the math on, I'm just talking $100,000 day one, 20 years later, that's what you're sitting with. Okay. So that's the power of and. That's how you take $1 and you use it 2 different times. Now let's go one step farther into the power of leverage. Okay, let's make it simple. Let's say you own an apple orchard. Okay, you're down in Southwest Colorado owning an apple orchard. You got a contract with Walmart, and you can sell a box of apples to Walmart for $11. It's a good contract. But just like trading time for money, how many boxes can you create? It's however large your apple orchard is, right? And then you're done. Your apple orchard's done. You've sold all your boxes. Okay. You got a neighbor. He does not have a contract with Walmart. He can't get a contract with Walmart. And he's more than willing to sell you his box for $5. So you can turn around and sell it to Walmart for $11. How many of those neighbors are you going to talk to, buy their box for $5 and turn around and resell it for $11? You might talk to a few different neighbors, and you might use leverage to take that and create some return for the two of you. Okay, you can do the same thing with $1. So this is kind of a coupling now what we just talked about with the power of and with the power of leverage. So you take $1, and if you can make 11% on that dollar, but you can borrow money at 5% to make 11%, how many dollars are you going to borrow to do that? What kind of swap are you going to do on that? Okay, so once you get some of these concepts down, it's really easy to see how folks that have just a little bit and they start down the right path can really take all of that and make it multiply. It's with a number of these concepts. So the power of time, really letting time work for you, giving it the best shot. The power of return. I offer a review of where your portfolio is sitting. And so if you want to look at what asset you're in, what kind of risk profile it has, that power of 0. If you want to look at what kind of return it's getting on average over the whatever time it's been out there in that investment. I have a report that I can run and it just flat out shows you. And occasionally I'll have a client that wherever they are, they're doing great. And I'll just tell them, don't move it. That's awesome. Just stay there. Then more often than not, it's they didn't realize they were really only getting a 4% return and that they lost 50% back in the day. So to really look at that and just have the information gives you that. The power of and the ability to start multiplying and using $1 multiple times and then using other people's money. So if you want to know how much leverage is in your portfolio, then just take a picture of the QR code. We'll bring it up again at the end. And let's just sit down and talk and review it. Okay, so next speaker I'm going to be bringing up is somebody that also give us some stop for questions, and that's the part I always forget. Does anyone have any questions at all? Brian, do we have any in the back? No. Okay. Okay, I can move on. So the next speaker that I want to introduce to you is a very, very special friend and has been influential in my life in helping me get to where I am today. Now, Gary mentioned that I closed 90-some transactions, investment transactions in the past 20 years. 10 years. 20 of them are through Mike's group. And Mike's group is the group that Steve introduced me to 10 years ago. And I had my IRA, and all I could afford out of my IRA was a down payment on 2 houses. And back in 2008, that wasn't a lot of money, right? So I had this IRA, and I was trying to figure out what to do with it and how to make it do something for me. I came across this group that does everything for me. So I had done it myself. I felt I was a good real estate investor, but I figured out real quick that I wasn't a good property manager. I don't like taking the phone call when the well goes out. I don't like the phone call when I need to evict. I let somebody stay in for like 4 months too long. That's not me. That's not who I am. But I did like the power of real estate, and I really wanted to make it happen in my portfolio. So when I was introduced to this group, I learned very quickly that they were more than willing to get out of my backyard. So I was investing here in Colorado Springs. How many of you invest in Colorado Springs? Okay, we've got to get a good handful of us. I was investing in Colorado Springs, and frankly, our price points are too high for the rents we get when you look at the numbers. So once I met this group and realized that they had the team set up everywhere else in the best markets with the best landlord laws, with the best rent ratios, why was I trying to do it myself? For me, it was an investment. I wanted to make money. So Mike Chamberlain has been 20 years helping people improve their finances. He spent 15 years as an advisor, as I have. He's loved just adding the dynamics of real estate into the portfolio, and he is teaching me a ton as we go. He loves helping people and helping them create that life that they want. He's a BYU grad in psychology with his master's of public administration from Marriott School of Business. He has served as president on many different boards, community, nonprofit organizations, and he's from Pleasant Grove. I was actually from Colorado for the last 50 years, but he's from Pleasant Grove with his wife and his 4 kids. So please help me welcome Mike.
Well, thanks for having me. This is not my first time here, but I love every time. I've actually been to Colorado 3 times in the last 3 months, and I am jealous of you. I thought as I was coming past the academy late last night of Tony Bennett, or not Tony, I forget the name now, but leaving his heart in San Francisco. I kind of feel like I've left part of my heart here. You guys have it good. I'm grateful to be back. Great audience, great group of people that I love and resonate with. I'd be curious to hear from you. What got you into real estate? What is it that you liked about real estate in the first place? What is it that you hope that it still does for you? Anybody care to just shout out a few things now? Why are you agents? Why are you realtors? Please. Yes. Love it. It's a common thread I hear. You're good people that want to help other people out. Anything else? You like the money. Good. We are capitalists. That's a good thing to like and expect out of this. Anything else real quick?
Being out and about and everything's always changing.
I love it. Variety is good, and being able and having to stay on the cutting edge. That's obviously why you guys are here. I believe in the law of harvest. I believe that getting out and educating yourself and following it up with action, of course, absolutely bears fruits eventually. Not always on our schedule, but always eventually. And I love what you guys are talking about. That is something that for me, I was kind of a late comer to real estate. I was doing the traditional financial planning route. I enjoyed helping people that way. Realized what real estate could do for others and joined this team, partially because of the people, partially because of the power of real estate about 5 years ago. And I'm amazed at what it does to often supplement and really can supplant what somebody else is doing to try to get ahead with their financial future. You know, real estate works. It's a admirable, noble field, I think, that we're all in, for the impact it can have with others. And we get it in this room, obviously, but so do most people we cross paths with. Gallup poll's been doing surveys on hundreds of topics for the last nearly 100 years, 90 years now. And they've surveyed individuals out across America. What do they think is the best long-term investment? And when you include real estate and stocks and bonds and money sitting on the sidelines and savings account and gold and commodities, real estate for years has been at the top of the list. You know, people get it. It's something people want to do. They're not always able to. It takes some money. Of course, there's no money down and other ways you can do it. But if you're doing the conventional route, it takes some money to do it. It can be scary. Everybody who knows about it really wants to do it. And of course, there's lots of different reasons for that. They recognize, though, it's the way that a lot of people have made their wealth. And if it wasn't how they made their wealth, it's how they have maintained their wealth after they made it through a tech bubble or a tech unicorn or whatever else they might do. They often diversify into real estate for the protection that it could provide, but also for the benefits of saving more of their money with the tax benefits and the legacy planning and everything else we'll get into. So people recognize that. It's a strategy of the wealthy. The strategy of the wealthy that I've learned sitting across the desk from hundreds of people over the years is that they will buy, borrow, and die. Does that make sense to anybody? How's that a strategy of the wealthy? Buy, borrow, and die. I'm having you think about why that is, and we'll hope to answer that by the end of the little time here together. But that is a strategy that the wealthy do. And I like to think about the Monopoly playboard, you know, going around, of course, pass and go. What do you get when you pass go in Monopoly? $200. Do you know what they call it? A salary, right? So if you're in the rat race and you're turning time for money, you absolutely will get paid, can get paid. And sometimes that's the strategy. That's often the strategy of the people out there. But of course, if you pause along the way and build assets, if you buy, and if you borrow to buy more of those assets and get that money working for you, I love Kelly's insights on leverage, the power of leverage. They can have dramatic impacts for one's financial future. Warren Buffett gets it. Warren Buffett's the greatest stock investor ever. Of course, you don't think of him as a real estate guy. But Warren Buffett, about a decade ago, was being interviewed by CNBC, and he said this quote: "If anyone is thinking about buying homes, it's probably as attractive an investment as you can make. If I had a way of buying a couple 100,000 single-family homes and had a way of managing them, I'd load up on them." Okay, so this great stock guru, who I love hearing his insights, I love his experience and what he can do to help investors in general get the game of investing. Recognizes what real estate can do. There's a quote that Warren gave where he said that, of course, he's into buying quality companies that he gets and understands that he'll hold on to forever. Quote, one time he said, "If you're not going to own a stock for 10 years, you probably shouldn't think about it for 10 minutes. Okay, and we kind of adapted that over at Dunphy Real Estate for our investors. We're a buy and hold investment company. Making strategic moves along the way when it makes sense to upgrade, sell old and buy new, but stay with real estate forever is the concept. And we have that strategy where if you're not going to own it for 5 to 10 years, you probably shouldn't think about it for 5 to 10 minutes. And of course, we can see why with what's happened in the market this last year. You know, we're certainly going through a correction. You guys have experienced it. It got crazy for a while, and it may get crazy again. We'll see. But across the nation, there have been areas where real estate's gone down. From its peak over here on the left, sometime in the summer of this last year, different peaks in different markets, to its trough, real estate was down here in Colorado Springs. They were suggesting about 5%. Does that sound right to you all, or does that sound? Yeah. Yeah, people can get it at a discount. It's what it's like to buy things on sale. If you like to buy a shirt on sale, this is what it's like to buy real estate on sale. Sure. And so areas of the country, it's gone down. And obviously, as you can see by the colors, in certain areas, gone down much more dramatically than other areas. So this is peak to trough over here, less than a year's time. This is what it looks like if we give it a full year's time, March of last year to March of this year. Okay. Do you see anything here? Anything stand out about these colors? Anything surprising when you look at this chart here? There's a, yeah. Yes. Yeah, the less time you have, the more potential loss. Over here, the less potential of a loss. So this is 1 year's time here. And in Wall Street Journal, above the fold article today, if you go and look at it, talks about a third of the real estate markets across the country have gone down this last month. Okay, a third of it. And you hear about all over the news, of course, the uncertainty in the real estate market, what might happen in the real estate market. Is there any other way you all think they could have titled that headline? Of course, they don't do it because they're the news and you try to get eyeballs and people paying attention. What was that? You got it. If a third's going down, that means 2/3 going up this last month. And so one thing I like to emphasize, do not buy real estate. It's not the right investment for everyone. Don't buy it just because you heard it's a good thing to do. But if you have a risk tolerance for it, and if you have time and you have some resources, if you can give it just 3 years in a tumultuous time, this last year, including that time, but just going back 3 years, this is what it's like to own real estate across the nation. Here in Colorado Springs, this report suggests that home prices are up 28%. And back here, it was down 5% from peak to trough, down 2% in a year's time. But in 3 years' time, boy, worth a lot more, 28%. That's not normal, of course. We had a bubble. We needed a correction. That's a healthy thing in the market. But boy, real estate with time just works. I've done hundreds of reviews with our clients. We've helped about 1,500 people buy 5,000 homes. We do ongoing annual reviews with them. We check in, we study the markets and the experience that they're having. Every single time I've reviewed somebody's real result, even when there's some messiness included, like there was a pandemic and the tenant wasn't covering the rents all the time, or there was a surprise repair that wasn't found through the independent inspections. Every time we even include the messiness of real estate, it does not always work in a year or two's time. Sometimes you just get to break even because of the fees involved. But in 5 years' time, it's always made money, more than anything I ever helped somebody make when I was an advisor with just stocks, bonds, 401ks, and IRAs. Always more, usually double, sometimes triple the total return, depending on what's happening with depreciation. It's just powerful what it can do. And of course, there's lots of different ways that it can help benefit somebody. But if you compare real estate to what else somebody might be doing, what else you might be doing with your own money, is real estate enthusiasts and people who, of course, want to set up their own financial future, as well as their clients. Real estate compared to what else most people are doing is not a straight line. So down here at the bottom chart, we had a tumultuous time back in the Great Recession, of course, worst time in any of our lives, worst time in our parents' lives, where if you bought real estate in 2006, you would have had to hold on to it for about 6 years, 2007, excuse me, to get back out of it what you put into it. It doesn't always go up, but is it worth a lot more today than it was 50 years ago? Absolutely. Stock market doesn't always go up, but it's worth a lot more today than it was 50 years ago. But the difference is that volatility. I was sitting across the desk when the stock market lost 57% back in the Great Recession, 08 and 09. 57%, you lose half of your money. You start to wonder, am I going to lose the other half? And you pull out. Fear and greed always kicks in with the emotional investing. And so, to lose 25% in a year's time last year, 34% in a month's time when COVID hit, 50% twice in 2 decades, 2 different times in the last 2 decades. It's a good investment. I'm a big fan of being diversified. But to give somebody a chance to actually stay on board and arrive at their destination safely, I love what real estate can do to add peace of mind, to help somebody get ahead and actually experience the long-term benefits. And so just love the power of real estate compared to what else somebody might do. And then, of course, it's powerful because there's so many different ways that you benefit from real estate. You guys know this. It's not one way. It's that appreciation. It's that leverage Kelly talked about. My experience, having done hundreds of reviews with clients, if you've owned a home for 5 years and you use leverage, you're making 3 times whatever the home's appreciated. So if it's gone up 5%, your return on investment is more like 15%, net of fees and everything, costs and everything. And that's just one way you do it. Appreciation and leverage is powerful. My favorite thing. Like, not for everyone though. You know, there's a customized, personalized approach to this for everybody. But tax savings, amazing what it does to help you keep the money that you earn. If you buy real estate with leverage, my experience is you're not paying any taxes. I'm not an accountant. Check with your accountant. But if you buy it with leverage, you have extra tax benefits and savings. You get to capture depreciation better, and you're not paying taxes on the gain, the positive income from your real estate. If you buy it with cash, you're probably paying taxes on about half of it, unless you get creative to write more of it off, legally, ethically so. So tax savings, leverage, principal reduction, somebody else paying off the mortgage for you if you have a loan. So powerful. You're making about 2-3% a year just in the principal pay down in the first decade of owning a home. And it goes up over time, 2.5 to 3.5% first decade. Because of course, as you pay off more principal, you have less interest that you're being charged, and you get a dramatic return that way. And just the passive nature. So all these things we all know and we think about why we're attracted to real estate. But for me, better than the features that I have listed there is really the benefits that comes when somebody invests in real estate. And this is yourselves, this is your clients. This is applicable for lots of people out there. I recently helped a neighbor invest in real estate. This neighbor makes a few $100,000s a year. He has a comfortable lifestyle. But I asked him and his wife what it felt like to invest in their first investment property. And he said it gave him hope. He said he wondered, he's 50 years old now. And he said, I felt like I needed to get some kind of a side hustle, something else, because he hadn't done enough for retirement. And when you turn 50, I'm 52, you know, that starts to stare you in the face. And he feels like he's done something now. That side hustle is real estate for him. Because of course, when you buy real estate, you are an investor, you are a business owner, a real estate business owner. And so he's doing something. And a decade's time is a long time in real estate. It's not too late. 15 years is even better. So the confidence, the hope, to me, that's the real power, the belief that something's going to be there for their future. You know, that there's not the 50% losses in a third and a quarter in a year or month's time. You know, that is dramatic what that can do for somebody to be more hopeful and enjoy life a little bit more along the way. And there's an added benefit for you all in this room that a lot of people out there don't get to tap into. So there is accelerated depreciation. Depreciation, because you're a business owner, when you own real estate, you get the same tax laws and benefits that other business owners do. When a restaurateur goes in to start a new business and they buy a refrigerator and a dishwasher, that's equipment they need to run their business that will go down in value. And so the IRS lets them depreciate it over time and reduce their taxes because of that necessary equipment. As a real estate owner, the equipment you need to buy is the home. And you don't get to depreciate the land because they're not making any more of it, but it's typically about 80% of the purchase price, give or take 5%, that somebody gets to depreciate. And so here's an example of a home one of our clients recently bought out in Oklahoma City, a market where people are moving to because its economy is good, the cost of living is lower, and homes cost less. $292,000 4-bed, 2-bath home out there, brand new build. That an investor could then take a normal depreciation on and be able to wipe out about $8,500 of income a year because of that passive income initially, because of that depreciation benefit. So that's part of how they're wiping out in positive cash flow, not having to pay taxes on that, and potentially wiping out a little bit of their other income. But as real estate investors, we all can qualify to accelerate that depreciation and realize more of it the first year. Because you can qualify as and again, check with your professionals on this, as a real estate professional, because you're in the business and you're spending 750 hours a year and you're doing more than 50% of your time in real estate than other things you might do, you can qualify and you qualify, you meet the checkboxes. The agents do it beautifully. You can actually be a real estate professional that can have these passive losses in real estate actually affect active income that you might have in other sources, or if you're married filing jointly, the partner might have if they have W-2 income, which is the worst kind of income to have, which gets taxed at the highest, you know, for income tax, for payroll tax, for all of that. or as a sole proprietor. If you're a sole proprietor, you can benefit from that as well, please.
Is that depreciation at 0.85%? 75%?
So the way we're doing this, yeah, sorry, good question. Let me try to, I think this will answer. So I'm just making up an approximate numbers of what this would probably look like for an investor. If you have a 292 purchase price and 80% of that is usually about the depreciable amount, that's a 234 amount that's depreciable. And normally for residential real estate, you're going to take that over 27 and a half years. And so that's over, you take that number, divide it by 27 and a half, you get that number. And if you're in the 24% tax bracket, which is where a lot of people are at, plus 4.4% the state of Colorado, you're going to be saving about $2,400 a year, money left in your bank account because of that tax advantage, just standard depreciation. However, as real estate agents, as a real estate professional, you can actually take a chunk of that, not the whole thing, not the structure, but there's parts of that home that are going to depreciate or wear out quicker. The paint, the carpet, the cabinets, et cetera. And so what you can do is actually take about 6,500, approximate numbers here, 65,000, excuse me, instead of just the 8,000, and target a year when you might have higher sales and you need to wipe out more money to avoid the progressive tax brackets, marginal tax brackets that we are. 0 if you don't make much, 10, 12, 22, 24, 32% marginal tax rates. If you have a big year, you can target this and you don't have to take it in any one year. You can come back in the future and do a cost segregation and wipe out big chunks of money. Dramatic benefit for real estate agents because you're in the business. Yeah, and you usually qualify. Yeah.
You can do that, not just the year you buy it, do it 2, 3, 5 years later.
Absolutely.
Mind if repeat the question, please?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Can you do you have to do it the year you buy it, or can you come back and do it whenever it makes sense, is more beneficial for you in the future? You absolutely can come back in the future and do it. I'm using numbers that are applicable for 2023 purchases. If you bought a home from 2017 to 2022, you can go back and appreciate that quicker, do a bonus depreciation or accelerated depreciation, or do a cost segregation to make that possible. And you actually have numbers better than what I'm showing. These are the numbers relevant to the tax law today. It's been better for the last 6 years, basically. It's even more that you get to save if you bought a home in the last 6 years. You can still do that. So incredible benefit that's available to you to keep more of the money that you're working for, to target with it, have the long-term benefits of real estate. And by the way, you still get depreciation, most of that, over the next 27 years, you only accelerate some of that. So lots of ways that people can benefit. We're in the middle of this correction, and who knows what happens next with it. Certainly not trying to tell you whether or not real estate is going to be higher or lower a month from now, let alone a year from now. I'm very confident that it's going to be higher a decade from now. And one thing that can really affect that is what happens with interest rates, of course. When home prices go up and interest rates go up, it becomes less affordable, less supply and demand, less people demanding it. And so home prices, flatten, or they don't go up like they normally would. A lot of looking at history is when interest rates got to 5.7% this last year, that a lot of buyers pulled back. We're above 5.7% now. Who knows where we'll be a year from now? What I can tell you, if you look at the 68-year history of the Federal Reserve and they're raising interest rates, 68-year history where the economy got too hot, the Fed taps on the brakes, they slow down the economy, it looks like it's going to go into a tailspin, so they take the foot off the brake and put it on the accelerator, or they lower interest rates again. 68 years that the Fed has been raising and lowering interest rates. And not every time they've done that, have interest rates, every time that they've raised them, not every time have they come right back down. There's 2 times on this chart where they didn't. But every time, 10 out of 10 times in the last 68 years, the Fed kind of helped create a recession. Every time there's been a recession, illustrated by the gray bars, interest rates have actually come back down quicker than they went up. So again, who knows what happens this next time? That's a big thing to look at is you look at buyers and people who want to buy, what's happening with interest rates, of course. And we're in a phase now where we could be at a peak and start to come down. The Fed suggested that they're likely going to stop raising, but they'll do whatever they do. So lots of change could be happening. Lots of ways that people get involved in real estate. And by the way, I'm a fan of every one of these, except for the top one. What happens most often is they pay the $25,000 like Kelly did to an education company. You get educated, but you get stuck in analysis paralysis. You don't ever take action. That's the biggest thing that an investor needs to overcome, is just doing it. Even being open to making mistakes and not capturing all the best, but just getting started is so worth it. with time, it just works well. But if you never get started, you can never participate in that. Investing locally can make a lot of sense, not as much for cash flow, like Kelly talked about, not as good of a rent return as could be available, but absolutely can work out well in local markets. And then there's certain markets around the country where it tends to work out a little bit better. So right now, there's over half of the US counties where more people are moving out than into. 2 years ago in California, for the first time in 25 years, more people moved out of California than into it. You guys are experiencing a lot of that here, I'd imagine, just like I am in Utah. And so targeting those areas where population's increasing because the jobs are good and the cost of living's low and the wages increasing higher. So you have good quality tenant, tends to work really well. Just letting the numbers do the work for you. And so lots of different ways. Of course, we try to help people invest from a distance so they can stay very passive and do your day job and just let this build up on the side. You give up some of the income, but that income's a small percent of the total return that real estate does for somebody. You pay a property manager, so you don't have to take the middle of the night call. You get all the other benefits, and you get to just keep doing whatever you like doing and let this work for you behind the scenes. So that's what we do, one-stop shop, and we love to help people do it, whether you do it on your own or with our help. Love questions, love to be involved. But from finding to fixing to financing and then placing tenants in the homes is what we do. We've been doing it for a while now. I've mentioned some of that. I had some good success, pretty dramatic impact that it's had in clients' lives. And that's my favorite thing about it, actually, is how it's impacted them being able to enjoy life a little bit more now and feel more confident for their future. There's some of the markets we're in down here. And it's an approach that is very customized and unique to each person's situation. But it's something that is available for agents. There's, I think, a dramatic appeal in that you keep doing whatever you do best. If you can place an investor in your backyard and it makes sense, great. If you like working in luxury homes and don't want to do this middle of the road, this 3-4 bedroom, 2-3 bath, good neighborhood, top of the bell curve and demand kind of homes that we do, keep doing that. But for the people that don't fit into the box, you can still be part of that and be recognized for introductions. As simple as an introduction, and you can have 25 to 30% of the buyer's commission because of that introduction. So in the homes that we're helping people do, that usually translates to about $2,500, depending on the price of the home. But it's about $2,500, which in and of itself maybe isn't too exciting. But then when you start to stretch it out to, then you look at what our history is, over half of our business comes from repeat business, people coming back and doing it again and again because it works. And with our program, there's commissions available to 8 licensed agents in perpetuity. If you invest one person a year to us, and we just do what we normally do, help them get to 5 or 6 properties over the next 5 or 10 years. That's our track record. Which, by the way, normally when somebody's buying a home for primary residence, they're just buying one every 6 or 7 years. But because it's investment properties, so they can have a better future and feel more confident, then agents that refer people to us are in line for all of that override in perpetuity just from an introduction. And then we do the work. We're motivated to take good care of the client, so we're flexible on you, because it's the only way we stay in business and make more money in the future is to help them have a good business where it's profitable and easy. And so they want to come back and do it again. So there's a webinar coming up. If you want to learn more about it, I know Kelly has it on a paper. We'll go into a lot more details. We're out of time now. Or maybe we're not. We extend. We have a little bit of time for questions. But just, I was hoping, thinking about it, that you all, whatever format and method you take, that you get to feel great about introducing people to real estate as investment. It's what they want to do already. They don't always want to be in the weeds themselves, but they want to do it. And so whether you're able to hold them by the hand and walk through it, or you don't want to, or it doesn't fit in the box and you want to refer, but still get a reward for it. If it's one a year, it translates, after 12 years, it translates into hundreds of thousands of dollars for the agent that's referred. If it's one person a year that refer, if it's one a month, it's in millions of dollars. If we just do what we normally do with our clients, a couple $1 million. And so that's something that we'd love to break down and tell you more if you'd be interested in learn more about it in the webinar. But what questions do you have about real estate investing in general or anything else, please?
Okay, recently we had a ballot that it didn't pass by 1 vote for rent control.
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously with our tax increases, I mean, I have clients that are fixed incomes and they're gonna have to sell because they can't afford the new.
Yes.
So we've got that. I've got clients that they're looking to get out of Colorado to sell their rental properties
and go other places. And I've lost 20 clients in the last 2 years because of what's happening with our politics and our real estate here. So we're gonna be going through a huge challenge.
Yes.
Because I bet nickel to a dollar next time, and it will go to ballot, that guy's gonna get bought off and we're gonna have rent control.
Yeah, so very real experience
real.
that you've experienced and concern for the future. Kelly mentioned, we do target areas that are owner favorable regulation in the states that we're at. This is where we are now. We've been in other states in the past where the numbers don't make sense anymore. And so we don't help them now, but we're expanding into Atlanta later this year. We're in Texas, we're in Florida. We've had home prices in Florida just skyrocket. And when home prices go up, the taxes go up with the home prices, and because of hurricanes, it's gotten expensive to insure it. And so Florida's been a phenomenal home. We've helped people buy about 1,000 homes in Florida alone over the last nearly 10 years. But it's not as attractive a place right now because of those same things you're talking about. So we just moved to where it makes sense.
Yeah.
We used to help people buy in Vegas and Phoenix and in Utah. We don't anymore. Not that it's not a bad place to invest. It just doesn't have the done for you experience, or maybe it doesn't have the owner protections. Some areas of the country that helps the long-term investor. That's all part of the research and effort we put into. So you don't have to, you guys literally tap in, become an expert. This is a way to expand your expertise and expand your geographic reach for your clients. And again, with commitment for us just to try to make you look good and be there to benefit for long-term from it. So yeah, very real considerations. Other thoughts or questions?
Just like, I wanna play on that because that's a real consideration. Her question was really about the rent controls that are potentially coming into Colorado, about the changes, about the taxes going up for the folks that are on Zoom. So I have been referring to Done For You Real Estate now for 10 years. What I'm about is how to create multiple passive income streams. This is just one of them. Now, that $2,500 commission I get, it's not a game changer. I could have sold them a house here and gotten a lot more, right? But if I refer out my investor, what I know is they're getting a better deal. They're going to get a better rent than I can get them here for the money they spend. I bought 2 new builds last year for $270,000 each. You cannot find that in Colorado Springs or Denver. So why wouldn't I give my buyer, my investor, an opportunity to buy that house and still pull $1,800, $2,000, $2,100 rent for it? Because you can't do it here. So I may only get $2,500, but I tell you, every time that person buys, and I have, Steve gets paid every time I buy. Steve likes me because I bought like 8 of them last year. He likes me. So what, all of a sudden you get this surprise check that comes from Done For You Real Estate because suddenly down the road, 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, they bought a house you didn't even know. And all of a sudden, surprise, you get that. So you may not on the first one get it, but your investors are going to go somewhere else. They're going to figure it out because they're going to know that they really can't make the numbers work here. They will be searching for other opportunities. You might as well take them and be tied to them for life through this opportunity.
Thanks, Kelly. It is a golden goose instead of a nest egg. I mean, it is the golden goose that keeps giving. It is a way to bring residual income into an agent's business. So you don't just have to trade time for money indefinitely and perhaps get to a retirement age and wonder how you're going to be able to. It's wonderful, this residual program. And it's just gotten better. It hasn't been this good for all of Kelly's experience. Like we just came on to EXP as one of their trusted solution providers. And that was part of the agreement. We had to be able to offer that to agents. We just had to make it as attractive as possible. And so it's better now than ever. But it absolutely helps protect. Sorry, there was a
Yeah, I just got a question. You guys are talking about the appreciation and growth on our life. We're price factoring inflation, the devaluation of the dollar. Where do you think it's going? Crypto and centralized banking. How does that all play into your guys' projections? And because again, I mean, why it's so much more expensive real estate now compared to 50 years ago is because the power of the dollar is worth more for a dollar than you need a million of those by that same half, right?
yes. Am I okay for 2 minutes here? So you can't see it. I know it's down low here.
Repeat his question though.
Yeah. So the question is, what's going to happen with real estate prices in light of inflation and crypto and everything that's going on out there? What might happen now? No crystal ball, no guarantees. Another great quote from Warren Buffett is that forecasters are in business to make fortune tellers look good. and so I'm going to try to read a tea leaf here. And more than that, I'm going to look at history and try to make some sense of it. So I don't know, no guarantees. What I will say, though, is the inflation that we've been having now, it's similar to not as bad as the inflation we had from 1970 to 1982. And right here, at the bottom of the chart here, you see the straight line of real estate prices from 1970 to 1982. When we had inflation, that capped out at 18.5% instead of the 9.2% we capped out at this last year at the peak. When you had inflation that was there for a lot longer than what it appears to be now, who knows what happens moving forward, but it's come down a bit from 9 to 5. And so who knows, again, no guarantees, but again, don't do it for the short term, do it for long term, it works out. What happened to home prices in a worse inflationary environment, what we're experiencing now, is they tripled in value from 1970 to 1982. They tripled during that time because home is a great hedge against inflation. As costs of goods go up, the builders are just going to pass on that cost to the buyer. And as far as the interest rate goes and the payment, it's actually beneficial for an investor as well because you are paying off that loan. Real estate is unique. If you want to grab onto coattails and maybe ride somebody else's success, real estate has that aspect built into it, unlike other investment vehicles where the government wants people to own real estate because it improves the community. The government has agencies to help guarantee loans. They have 30-year notes that no other investment gives you 30-year notes that you never pay more. And so you have this 30-year note, which if rates go down, you can refinance, pay less, but you never have to pay more. And so as inflation goes up and the cost of goods in general go up, you have a payment that is going to have taxes and insurance and HOA fees and repair fees all going up about 50% if we just get kind of normal inflation over a course of 10 years time, but the principal and interest payment doesn't go up a dime. And so what that makes it is when you start owning a home that you bought with leverage, you might have about 2/3 of your gross rents go to just make the principal and interest payment. But 10 years later, you only have half of it because of this 30-year note, unique government sponsored, kind of benefit to it. And so you're paying off that note. Not only does that biggest part of your expense never go up, but you're also paying that note with future dollars, which are actually beneficial to you. You make more now than you did 10 years ago, I imagine. And somebody, if they just stayed at the salary job, they'd make the 3% a year, cost of living 2.5%, whatever. Future dollars are paying off current debts, and that's beneficial to an investor. It's cheaper to pay off that note later because of inflation. So lots of benefits, hedging against inflation that's available through real estate. It's powerful that way. As far as what happens in short term, again, I try to stay away from that. But historically, if we're in a longer term inflationary environment, that's been good for home prices in the past. Anything else, please?
Seems from the chart correlation between stock market price and price of homes. Is there a direct correlation to that, or is it?
That's a good question. I don't know that I have an answer to that. What I will say is there are two types of investments. Yeah, the question is there a correlation between stock prices, the owning companies, and real estate prices, owning property? And what I'd say in general, again, this is a bit of a dodge, but it might be helpful. There are two main things you can do with your money. When you save some money up and you need to do something for your financial future, you can either lend it out and get an interest payment, or you can buy something with it, have ownership. And that ownership could be part of a company, or it could be a commodity, or it could be, of course, real estate here. And so ownership investments obviously have more risk involved. You can buy a stock and it can go to zero. You could buy a real estate and it can have a 30% drop back in 06 to 13, worst in our lifetimes. But yes, there is certainly a correlation. Stock is just a reflection of how profitable a company is, the price to PE ratio, When stocks are more profitable, then owners of those stocks and people in general that work them are making more money. And so when they're less profitable, there's less money to be made. And so there could be some correlation that way. When the earnings are high here, then there's more demand for homes, more money to go into homes. And when earnings get slashed here, like the normal PE ratio is 15 times, Back in 09, we got down to 9 times PE ratio on the S&P 500. I mean, there's not as much money, not as much value. So that's a rough stab. I don't love to get a contact and get you a better answer to that. Good question. Other things, I think we're out of time.
Can we take questions if there are any more?
Yes, please.
Do you have lenders that work with you? You're all over the place.
Yeah, good question. So one thing I like about our system is people get to use whoever they want to use for finding, fixing, financing. If they have a preferred, they get to do it. However, we have every one of those pieces in place to make it as easy and carefree as possible. So yes is the short answer. We finance, we've got an internal team that can help finance it. Insurance companies, making sure they have the right insurance for the different geographic considerations, weather considerations. The property management, work with a regional team that's in states across the country, very top tier professional team that we feel very confident in. We don't own them, but we've partnered with them and we're tied at the hip with them because we're confident they're going to take good care of our clients. And if they don't, we can always go somewhere else. And so we get to have some influence for our clients, ongoing experience. And so every piece of this puzzle or every need is in place. But if somebody has something else they want to do, they can do that. Yeah.
And Mike, I stopped them when I started with them because I had my own lenders and as I shopped them, I finally came back to not even messing with them because the lending that they do and the services that they provide on insurance, I shopped all the property and casualty insurance and it just wasn't worth it because frankly, they're working for thousands and thousands of investors. So they really had pulled down the pricing on everything.
And it's brokerage, so we go wherever the price makes sense, that has good quality, safety with it as well. Yeah.
The other thing I want to point out is Mike mentioned that as a brokerage, Steve Earle owns the brokerage and that they just moved into EXP. That is huge for all of you EXP agents because what that means is they have become the preferred solution provider for 88,000 agents at EXP to do real estate investing. So Steve has met with Glenn Sanford multiple times, Leo Pereira multiple times. They're going to be put on stage as the provider. So for us to have the one-on-one that we get with Mike here every quarter is amazing. And to be able to meet with him face to face, it's amazing. But that will be a huge benefit for us as agents, whether you're EXP or not, but for us as agents at EXP, because they will be training in EXP University. They will be teaching everybody how to do real estate.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Glenn Sanford loved what we are offering agents within EXP to automate this part of the business, real estate investment business in the box kind of approach. You keep doing you, we'll help you with this part of your real estate and generate perpetual income, residual income for years to come for you. Yeah, and more transactions, more money, right? Good question. 15-year history, cash flow has been a big focus. Go to areas, give you an example. I bought a home in Tennessee a year and a half ago, one of the markets we covered. My home in Utah was worth $630,000 the day I closed on a $310,000 home there. It was projected my home in Utah rent for $2,200. My home in Tennessee rented for $2,100. So literally half the price home renting for similar rents. That's how this model works. Pay less, get more income so you pay somebody else to do the work. For 15 years, that's been a big part of the return. But when home prices are higher and interest rates are higher, it's harder to come by. But yes is the answer. We are still helping our clients positive cash flow, but it may be dozens of dollars instead of $400 or $500 today, but they still get all the other ancillary benefits. That is something I rose by who, oops, well, that's all right. And have a solution in place that can help them save money with taxes and get other benefits annually now, as that rent builds up over time. So a lot of the examples are maybe they're getting up to $100 in positive cash flow now, but it'd be projected to get $400 or $500 or more positive cash flow 10 years from now, just with the normal expected expense increases and everything else, the rent increases that we do. And so now is not the time if you're going to have high cash flow in real estate today, you need to buy your homes with cash. That's still available out there. 5, 6, 7% cash on cash returns if you don't have a loan on it. With a loan, we're getting people 2% cash on cash return, but then they're getting another 2%, 2.5% principal reduction. They're getting another 2.7% tax savings. You know, they're getting 6 or 7% in total cash while they wait for rents to go up. And by the way, a year, 10 years from now, you won't even remember what the first year's cash on cash is, because real estate's done so much more for you. Turn one home into two and then two into four, tax savings, the change of mind. That's the biggest thing, just a paradigm change of what's possible for you and your financial future or for your clients. It's just dramatic. Sorry, long answer.
No, it's okay. Just like Kelly kind of can assess what we've got going on in our investments, do you also invest or do you offer services to look at what your, you know, we own 4 rental properties here in Colorado Springs, but it would be worth having it looked at of like, hey, what if we sold these 2 properties, invested in 4
Absolutely.
properties somewhere
Yes.
else? Would that be? a
Yeah,
better-
I love those conversations. I'm kind of a numbers geek, chart geek. Don't tease me. I hope you call and we got to do it. Whether you do business with us at all, I'd love to help make sense of those kind of conversations. And we have a team of people that help too, but my role with the company ultimately is when somebody's bought a home and before, if they need it, to have comprehensive one-on-one planning, not taking the place of any other advisor they work with. I'm not a licensed advisor anymore. I gave that up because I love what real estate does, and this is my focus. I burn bridges. But I have a fair amount of background in understanding what different things can do for somebody, and love to help make sense of that. Please put me to work. Love to. Yes, please.
One market that stands out right now.
So it really depends on what somebody's trying to get. Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. So what market now is the hot market? And I would say it depends, you know. So I learned from sitting across hundreds of the desks from hundreds of people, talking to them about their finances. Big believer that personal finance is much more personal than it is finance. It's much more what's going to help me sleep at night, what's going to help me accomplish my goals, than it is just what's the numbers, the data, the dollars. I'm going to give you a finance answer, a numbers answer. And it depends on where somebody's trying to go for cash flow. Tennessee is still a great market for cash flow. Rents are high, but taxes, insurance, everything else of owning is lower. That's a great market still for better market for cash flow. Oklahoma is very attractive right now. All the markets that we're helping people buy in have about 3 to 5 times the population growth as other areas of the country as a whole. And so they are all good markets. We wouldn't be in them now if we wouldn't recommend it. But some of them work better for cash flow. Others will work better for appreciation. Dallas, Fort Worth, not a great cash flow market right now, break even, but incredible growth that's going on in Dallas, Fort Worth area. And so for somebody who's trying to grow, I look at it as 2 phases of life. Accumulation phase, just like you own stocks with traditional investments, and then you sell off and buy bonds later. If somebody's in the accumulation phase or the growth phase of life, own homes in areas where they're going up in value, and use leverage if you have a risk tolerance and some savings for it. And then as you get closer to retirement, start paying off those homes or sell in growth markets and buy in income markets. I know I haven't answered your question exactly, but it depends. Dallas, if it's growth for the future, Tennessee, if it's cash now, or the 2 markets. I really like Oklahoma too, though. They all work for different purposes.
Like, what do you think of the Carolinas?
Yeah, so Charlotte, Carolina is an area we've helped people buy lots of homes. Very strong economy. It's good. We're not active there because they have requirements for placing offers that, especially when the market was hot a year ago, where you would give up earnest money if you didn't close on it, and it would be $5,000 or $10,000. And so we stepped back from that, and we're not active in Charlotte right now, but we like the Carolinas as a whole. Yes, it all goes back to, is there more people moving in than out? Is the economy strong? And then you start to look at the price of homes and the rents and some of the other macro factors as well.
Well, and Mike will be here through the afternoon. He doesn't leave until later. I know he's meeting with Roberta right after lunch, but
Yeah, I would do that.
So we're going to break for lunch. There's lunch at the back of the room. Grab something, bring it back. We're going to spend a little time talking about the other side of the equation, which is how to create that leverage with your time. So we're going to spend a little bit of time that we're going to share the EXP model so that you can kind of look at that. So you have a baseline for what we're talking about with time leverage. So grab something. To eat. Come on back.
Goes on vacation, they go on vacation. But when I'm on vacation, I'm still working. I will clicker, quit clicking all of a sudden. Push the wrong button, Ron.
No, we unmuted you.
Huh?
You were muted.
I was muted.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hang on a sec here. Let's go.
there we go. So what's the solution? You know, we're talking about the EXP Realty business model is an option for you to consider, make those other issues kind of partially go away. Okay. Founder and CEO of our company named Glenn Sanford. Glenn Sanford was a big producer with Keller Williams, doing about $60 million per year. Kind of an IT type person. It's mostly all online marketing and so forth. When the economy got bad, back in the last recession, he broke away and just thinking about looking for a better way to do real estate. A very, very intelligent guy, kind of a genius type class. He was the founder of EXP. Been crazy growth. Now we exceed 85,000 agents. A lot of reasons for that. When I got involved 4 years ago, there's 15,000. So just imagine there's a brokerage that's gone from 15,000 to 85,000 in less than 4 years. There's some real important reasons for that. International collaboration. You know, we're in about 25 countries now across the world. The opportunity for referral business, opportunity to expand your business in other markets, and so forth, is like never before. The plan is, the goal is to be in 50 countries by the end of 2025. We're expanding very, very fast. That's a way to recession-proof your business, not to be tied to a local Colorado Springs or Denver, a local market. Innovation is always happening. You know, the world's changing really fast. We've got a good taste of that during the last 2 or 3 years with COVID and so forth. Major changes in the industry. For example, right here, bricks and mortar locations are kind of beginning to become more and more of a dinosaur. Blockbuster used to be the big, you know, gorilla in the room as far as movies and so forth. Now, Netflix is all online streaming. Big change. Retail. Remember the old Sears stores, Toys R Us stores, you know, the Circuit City, and you go on and on and on, Radio Shack and so forth. Kind of the nostalgia. Now we're at Bath and Beyond, now we're Amazon, shopping on Amazon. And I'll tell you what, it really is convenient. Deliver right to your door in a day or so. Real estate, same as going through some major changes right now. Traditional brokerages, the big old slow moving ships, I call them, the Remaxes, the C21s, the KWs, and so forth. They have spending hundreds of millions of dollars per year on bricks and mortar costs. There was an article in the News about a year and a half ago said that, I think it was in 2021, Keller Williams, which is a great company. Keller Williams spent that year $750 million just on bricks and mortar cost. Well, the EXP model does not have that bricks and mortar cost. We have hundreds of millions of dollars that's not being spent on bricks and mortar to invest back into our agents, to our technology and so forth. That's one of the major reasons we're growing so fast. It works. With EXP, there are 4 major disruptors that make this company very unique. The first one is we're a cloud-based real estate company. A lot of agents do have bricks and mortar offices around the country if they want to, but as a whole, you'll learn that you can do everything. Everything now as far as training, meetings and so forth, online, via Zoom, going to EXP World and so forth. It's very, very convenient. The EXP World we're talking about. In our world, our cloud-based office, our cloud-based campus, we have over 1,400 full-time employees there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Time every day as resources for you to access for any kind of questions you may have. I mean, it's just one click away from talking to somebody live with their own avatar with any kind of question we have on compliance, IT issues, commissions, training, and so forth. It's all there. It's a fingertip away. Here's an example right here. The information desk over real-time support. You first open up the window in EXP World. You navigate yourself, your avatar up to the kiosk here for information. You tell this individual, or he or she, there'll be a name above his name. You'll say, Joe, I've got this issue, this problem. Where should I go? And he or she will tell you, you need to go to such and such office. Along the left-hand side of your screen, there'd be a little, options like being in an elevator, with buttons to push for certain floors. You push the right button with your cursor to go to that particular office. Boom. It opens up again, new office. People there who specialize in taking care of the problem they have. The cloud office environment, not have no bricks and mortar. We don't have desk fees. You work from anywhere. It gives you some real freedom. Cut the overhead of bricks and mortar, as I mentioned a while ago. No expensive leases. Mentioned before, we can invest in technology and paying more money to the agent field force. Paperless transactions. It's just a better way of doing business. Live training in our EXP world. Have over 75 hours per week of live training on anything from A to Z. Listing presentations, working with buyers, time management, this goes on and on and on. Working with physicals, whatever you want, get some expertise on, training is there for you almost every week. If you can't make it live and it's being presented live, it's all archived. You can access it anytime at your own convenience. Now, with the group right here, the majority of us here are also part of a team within EXP called the Freedom Team. And the Freedom Team is about 2,500 agents total in about 48 states, 7 countries. We collaborate also on a daily basis via Zoom every day, different type of training. Training on transactions, training on how to maximize our CRM system, KV Core, training on agent attraction and so forth. But it's a way to really collaborate and meet people from all over the United States. You see them on a regular basis, those who want to show up and really develop a great contacts and your real estate business. We have, like I said, have a concierge hour twice a week where you can bring any kind of question you may have to our concierge. Have a white glove onboarding process and system. Anybody you bring them on board to the EXP, we'll take them by the hand and walk them through the entire process, make it as easy and as seamless as possible. So the Freedom Team is a big, big asset. The other disruptor, the second one of the 4, would be about technology and lead generation. Everybody likes to get more leads. It's a very important reason to be in the business, and a reason a lot of times people make a change to brokers, be able to get more quality leads without paying an arm and a leg for them, like Kelly was explaining before with her bad experience with Zillow. With our technology and so forth, we have things like EXP Enterprise, where you can monitor your entire business. We have SkySlope, where you upload all your documents before closing. We have Workplace by Facebook. This is where we're the largest user of Workplace by Facebook in the world. Just like Facebook, but it's all for EXP business. You can join certain kind of groups, referral groups, veterans groups, Colorado Springs groups, Colorado groups, Dallas Fort Worth groups, just all kind of groups, just like Facebook, where you'll be able to plug in to people who have a lot of things in common with you. That's CRM, lead generation. This is a big, big asset right here. KV Core used to be called Conversion. It's known right now as it's been publicized as being the Cadillac of CRM systems. It isn't the only good one, but it's a very good one you have access to by being an EXP agent. You can buy KV Core by yourself, no matter who you're with. But if you do it yourself, it's going to cost you about $1,000 startup and about $500 per month to have KV Core. With EXP, it's all part of your $85 per month total expense. As you see, no startup fee, it's included in the EXP monthly. And with the Freedom Team down at the very bottom, you see we have exclusive KV Core setup and training on a weekly basis. The third disruptor, the third of the four. Question?
On the KV core, so you've got the platform that you have, but I imagine that agents might be able to put money into the lead generation portion of it. What does that cost look like?
You know, typical like example is they have a system within KV Core as part of the EXP services. Is it called Make It Rain? Thank you. I think the minimum there is like $250 per month for X number of leads per month. You can boost your Facebook posts. You can do all kinds of social media through KV Core and boost those posts if you so chose. Same price to boost a Facebook post through KV Core would be on your own. But it just gives you a lot of tools like that. You want to expand the lead generation. But a lot of ways you can do it without having to spend extra money too. Kelly?
But it does work. Prior to Katrina, I saw her face all over the dang Facebook because she was using it. So it does like that. I'll remember to click on it. It'll get you. I didn't know her, but.
Yeah, but you can say, hey, but you have you can say, hey, I'm looking for X amount of leads, per month, and then.
The easiest way to do that would be like Kelly was saying, through a system we have within KV Core called Make It Rain. They'll give you an estimate how many leads per month you'll get for a certain price. And they're pretty much, screened leads too. They don't just leads falling out of the sky with no value to them. Okay, good question though. Another question?
There's stuff, you could rain, there's a lot of free stuff. But my favorite, if you have listings, is to property boost. And it's like $60 for a week, and it's marketing your listing, which is what people are really looking for. And it's $60 for a week. I don't know what usually they sell in a week anyway. So, and that generates a good leads.
We have a similar system that has done really for boosting advertising. So that's
Okay. Good comments. Thanks for your extra add on there.
So does that let me catch this. It's my son.
That's okay. I'm going to the third now of the four disruptors to make the EXP model unique. And that is, we are an agent-owned company. One of my previous chapters in life, I was a financial advisor, kind of like Kelly. And so when I first started looking at EXP, reluctantly 4 years ago, I noticed they were all of a sudden they're publicly traded on the NASDAQ stock exchange. I said, well, damn, that's a real deal to be on the NASDAQ. With other big companies like PepsiCo and Apple and so all on the NASDAQ. So it gave us an instant credibility. But as an agent-owned company, it makes it pretty unique. You aren't just working for the man and like, who may be a privately owned company, like let's just say, give me an example, Keller Williams. It's owned by Gary Keller, for example. He's a multi-billionaire, done a lot of great things for real estate, got a great company, but you're working for Gary, you're not getting stock in Keller Williams. The EXP, there are many ways you get stock as being part of the agent-owned program. Mentioned before, become a shareholder, publicly traded on the NASDAQ, that's a big deal. Motley Fool mentioned about a year or so ago, comment was, who's the Amazon of real estate? At that time, they said, it's not Zillow, it's not Open Door, it's EXP Realty. So the powerful equity opportunity, ways you can earn stock is stock awards in this business. Now, you get $200 worth of shares on your very first transaction every year. You can get $400 worth of shares of stock when you fully cap each year. $400 worth of stock when the agent you recruit to EXP makes their first sale every year. It's not a gift card to Starbucks. This is $400 of valuable stock, publicly traded. Now, stock awards do have a 3-year vesting, but it's real. It goes into your account, and you get the award. 3 years later, it's a notification that vesting is expired. Stock is yours to go ahead and sell whatever you want to do. Yes.
That's at a 10% discount.
No, But that's another way you can get stock. Let me see this next slide here. I'll get to that 10% discount around the corner here. Another way you get stock in EXP. If you're a big producer, Kelly, for example, right here, you reach your $16,000 cap doing probably this market here, 5, 6, 7 deals. You do 20 more deals that year in your anniversary year, you become what they call an icon agent. As an award for becoming an icon agent, doing a total of, let's just say 25 sales a year, EXP awards you with $16,000 worth of stock given back to you. So $16,000 cap you paid in, on an 80-20 split to begin with, all of a sudden giving back to you is a pretty good deal. You're way over 100%. Yes, Kelly. Okay.
My little story, first time agent. Can I do this real quick?
Sure.
How am I going up there? Want everybody to hear this?
Come on. Made my little square look better.
Yeah, you did this. So.
First time agent, I was at a different brokerage and I needed to decide where I wanted to be. 21 at a certain brokerage or 16 at EXP, 16K at EXP with the possibility of being able to get all the money back in stock in the company. So I felt like I had nothing to lose. I had never sold a house before. So by the time I had paid, and Jeff tells us a lot, he's not here, but he tells us a lot, you can be over 100% in the company. And I was just sitting, selling my houses, coming to meetings, was already part of EXP. And by the time I had capped, paid 16K in cap, I was buying that 10% at or 5% at a 10% discount. I had $28,000 in stock in the company my first year. So I was already 100%. Yes, I wasted 16K, but I would have definitely not gotten 21K back at the other brokerage. Well, then I iconed. So they gave it all back to me. So I had $42,000 in stock in the company my first year. So that is more way. I love it.
It doesn't always happen that way. But
No,
stock goes up and down, but it's been a good ride. And right now, all real estate stocks come in a tank right now, but it goes up and down. Yes, it's a long play on the stock market. Back to your 10%. You have the option as an EXP agent where you can elect to have them take out of your commission on each sale up to 5% of your commission. And they'll purchase EXP stock for you at a 10% discount. That stock is being purchased by you. So there's no vesting involved there. Available for you immediately, but you're buying stock on day one, publicly traded on the NASDAQ at 10% discount. Almost everyone I know takes advantage of that opportunity. Whoop. There we go. According to NAR, almost 1/3 of all realtors do not have any health insurance. Now, EXP you have access as an EXP agent to a wonderful health insurance program. And the average savings per family is about $1,000 per month on premium. It's not given to you. It's an option to get it at a really big discount. I know Kelly has personal experience of saving, over $10,000 a year on health insurance costs. Just another one of the big benefits. This is kind of the bottom line as far as initial setup and costs and so forth. Standard cost, you want to get involved with EXP. Enrollment fee is $149, which includes your first full month in the business. $50 per month tech fee. $35 per month EXP University fee, totaling $85 per month is your business expense to be in business with EXP. No matter whether you're making one sale per month, per day, per month, or making one sale per day, it doesn't matter. $85 per month. We got guys who have multi-million-dollar per year businesses right now with EXP. The total cost $85 per month. You do have per transaction to start with a $25 broker review fee. Like a transaction fee. It's $25, not $250. And you got a $40 risk management fee, which is like your E&O insurance. That $40 per transaction E&O fee caps at $500 per year. And it's a $5 million policy, which is much larger than most E&O policies you buy on your own each year. Commission and cap split to start with, no matter who you are, it's not negotiable. You start off every year on your anniversary at an 80-20 split. Once you've done $80,000 of GCI, your gross commission income, you pay 20% at the EXP, which would be 16,000, you've capped. Once you've capped, you're 100% commission the rest of that anniversary year. You know, anniversary is whenever you first joined EXP, whether that be May 1st, January 1st, whatever your anniversary is. So, talk about a few numbers right here. These are the reasons most people get involved with EXP. They have lower costs, they have opportunity for higher commissions, and the opportunity to create more leads through our KV core and lead generation monster. Our fourth disruptor, I'm gonna have Kelly tell you about this, strictly optional. That is a big deal to me, was the opportunity to develop some passive residual income by helping the company grow by attracting other productive agents. Kelly?
Give it up for Gary. I'm gonna go back though to the healthcare piece, because I'm gonna tell you my personal story on that, because Brian, my husband, was in a corporate environment and COVID hits and he loses his job. So we lost our corporate insurance. So I sent him on a mission to go find us some insurance because he is the best researcher I know out there. He looked at everything. He settled on the EXP health insurance because our premiums would be lower and he felt our service would be higher. Now, unfortunately, we have a real world example of what happens when you get hurt. I woke up in the middle of the night, I fell, I hit my head, I went to the ER. $18,000 ER bill. And then, of course, they didn't know why I passed out. So they were trying to figure it out. So we're off to the neurologist, we're off to the cardiologist, we're off doing all these tests, thousands of dollars of tests. My out of pocket is $1,000 for that entire event. Now, on Brian's corporate insurance, my out of pocket would have been $6,000. And that was a good deal, his $6,000, cap. This is so much better. And then they've changed it more recently where it would be with that deductible, $1,000 for all events. So let's say I had a broken leg and I had a heart transplant, I don't care, $1,000. So you can't beat that. And that's on top of premiums. The premiums are significantly lower than what Brian could find anywhere else. So healthcare is just a major issue for us as privately employed people. But let's go on and let's talk about this fourth disruptor, which is the revenue share piece. I told you when we talked about Kiyosaki that we were going to swing back and we were going to talk about being a business owner. How do you create a business? Now, most people in real estate, the way they would create a business is that they would either be a team and they would go spend a lot of marketing dollars trying to feed their team, right? When Jeff Burrell had his own team there at Keller Williams, he was the top team here in Colorado Springs for 5 years running. Well, he was spending $14,000 a month creating the leads and doing the marketing and finding ways to feed his team. And then when the market drops in 2008, all of a sudden you've got this team you've got to feed. That becomes a little more difficult, okay? Or you become a broker, okay, and you own the broker. Maybe you buy a franchise and you own the brokerage. There's a whole lot of headache, a whole lot of liability with that. So we're going to talk about a way to have a modern team, okay? At EXP, you have an opportunity that if you introduce somebody, like I introduced Gary to EXP, when Gary makes a closing, I get 3.5% commission off of his commission. $10,000 commission, I'm going to make $350. It's not going to change my day, but it's going to be nice. And so every time Gary closes the deal, I get paid. I get paid on the 22nd of the next month. Okay. So let's look at that cap. Let's go back to that 16K cap. A 2-year plan to eliminate that cap is to attract 6 agents that cap, in our market, we're talking about 5 years, right? 6 agents that cap, and now that cap is covered. Now you're at 100%. So now you're sitting here in a brokerage and really you're not paying out anything. This is kind of where I've been since very early on, where my cap has been covered since I've been here at EXP. So I'm sitting here at 100%. So if you have folks that are at a low cost brokerage and they're really questioning, well, why would I move to EXP and do an 80-20? It's because you don't have to sit at 80-20 for very long. There are ways to get it back. The stock was one of the ways. And this is the second way. Okay, but it's the program is much more robust than that. It's actually extremely rewarding. So when I introduced Gary, Gary brought in Jason. Now, Jason also brought in his brokerage, but so whenever Jason closes a house, I get paid also on Jason. I get paid on Gary and I get paid on Jason. Now, I had to have 5 qualifying agents to open up this second tier, but that's very, very powerful. And so all the people that Gary has introduced, I may not even know them all, but I get paid on them all because I have 5 producing agents. Okay. So now let's look at the 2-year plan. Let's say I attract 6 agents that are cappers, and they each bring in just their one friend, their cousin in Florida, their mom in Alabama. Doesn't matter where they are. They bring in 6 agents, and now I'm making 16,000 on those I attracted, and I'm making 19,000 on the agents they attract. So all of a sudden, I'm making 3,000 a month. Now tell me, in your real estate business, would that help you with a marketing budget? Would that help you with an assistant, a transaction coordinator? What would 3,000 a month do for you? Or would that be a couple nice vacations a year? I don't know. But 3,000 a month will make a difference for a lot of people. Now, if you look at the finances of 3,000 a month, and let's go back to that model that we've always followed, which is save up a whole bunch of money. How much money do you have to save up and earn a guaranteed 5% on it to make 3,000 a month? It's $720,000. Now you tell me what's easier, talking to 6 friends and giving them the gift of healthcare, training, stock, benefits, giving them the gift. Or is it easier to go save up $720,000? I know for me, talking to 6 people is a whole lot easier. But this program pays down 7 levels deep. Okay. So the folks that you attract, you get paid $2,800 on them if they cap. Now, what if they don't cap? What if they only do 2 deals this year? And if they're half capper, you're going to get paid $1,400 from them this year. Okay, you'll still get paid. Every deal they close, you get paid. We're not talking about revenue. We're not talking about profit share. We're talking about revenue here. Okay, so you'll get up to $2,800. Once they cap, they're not giving any more to EXP, so you're not going to get any more. So it's pretty simple. Okay, then you get, if you attract 100 agents, then you could get up to $280,000 from those agents. It's kind of simple math. It's just numbers. Okay. Now, once you hit 5 agents that you've attracted that are qualifying isn't much of a stretch. It's closing 1 deal every 6 months. So if you're in real estate, then closing 1 deal every 6 months. If you're doing real estate as a business, that's probably part of it. So once you have 5 qualifying agents, then you're going to get paid on tier 2. So I have 5 qualifying agents. So for every agent that Gary has attracted, I get paid up to $3,200 on everything that they do. That's big. That starts to multiply. Now, as I mentioned, Gary brought in Jason. So that's tier 3 for me. So I've got Gary, who I attracted, and he brought in Jason. So now all of Jason's people are on tier 3. So with 10 qualifying agents, I get paid on all Jason's guys too. Okay. And likewise, it keeps going down with 15, with 20, 25, and 40. So you can open up all 7 layers. Now, frankly, I'll tell you, once this starts to grow and explode, you don't have control over it. It just keeps magnifying. And I know every tier 1 person because I've had a personal conversation with them. I know a couple tier 2 people, but beyond that, unless they've shown up at a wealth summit or somebody's gotten me on a phone with them, I don't know who they are. So I've got, over 70 people in my organization I'm getting paid on, and I don't know who most of them are. That's powerful. So let me talk to you about our team. So Gene Frederick here, he was a Keller Williams guy for years and years and years. He owned 6, Trish, tell me, 6 market centers
And the region.
and a region in California and Hawaii. He was big in Keller Williams. So when Elizabeth mentioned to him, Gene, I'd like you to look at this model, just look over my shoulder. Tell me if what I'm looking at is right. You know, tell me if this model has some legs on it. He looked at it. He went back to his wife and he said, Susan, if you knew about Blockbuster and Netflix, which one would you pick? She looks at him like, of course it would be Netflix. He said, we own 6 Blockbuster. Within a month, they liquidated and they moved to EXP. He was the first big agent that moved into EXP. He was number 400. That was back in the day, but that was only, what, 7 years ago, Trish? 7 years ago. It wasn't that long ago that he elected to move into EXP and he was number 400. Now we're at 88,000. That's the kind of growth. When he introduced Rob Flick, now Rob has his own story. Rob was also Keller Williams. So Gene knew him from Keller. Rob had seen the value of the Keller Williams profit share model. Now, there aren't many people I talk to that make a ton with the Keller Williams profit share model, but he was doing really well with it. He was making about $300,000 a year on the profit share model. Now, the reason he jumped into it both feet is because he had a life event. Back in '96, he got cancer. It was stage 4. And it took everything from him. When I say took everything from him, bankruptcy, back home, living in his parents' home, their 10 by 10 bedroom downstairs, wife left, lost everything. So he had a mission, he had a vow that if he could create a passive residual, something that would work for his children, have something to give to his children, that was what he was going to do. And so he found Keller Williams. And within 6 years, what he did is every Thursday from 3 to 6, he would make phone calls. And he wouldn't call buyers, he wouldn't call for listings, he'd call agents. And so for those 6 years, he spent 3 hours a week making those phone calls and making sure he was reaching out to agents to tell them about Keller Williams. Okay, so then 2002, he's making $300,000 a year. He's retired. He's done. He's done with the real estate. Gene looks him up, says, "Hey, Rob, let's talk." He's like, "Gene, go away. I'm out of real estate at this point. I'm good." And he says, "You've got to see this." So Rob takes a look. Not only does he see it, he joins in 2016. Okay, now Rob knows a few people. So in the first month, 4 people come in. Second month, no more. By the third month, he has 5 people. Okay, so by the third month, he's getting paid on those 5 and those 14. Okay, but those 14 and as 14, who invited 20, who invited 14, he had 86 people in his team at that point. I could tell you, he knew a few of them. He knew the 5, he knew a couple of the 14, he didn't know the rest of them. Okay, it just took off. Got a bit excited about it. 7 by May, and then pretty soon here he is with 22 by the end of the year. Now, his goal, frankly, after his Keller Williams experience, and he knew how to do this, his goal was to get to 500 within 3 years. Have a team of 500 by 3 years. He had made that in effect in 10 months. The model was so powerful, the benefit was so powerful that, frankly, he was just sharing. He was just sharing with people. Okay, this is his group size today. Okay, it's fairly impressive. They tell you, a lot of agents don't really produce real estate. A lot of agents don't cap. So even though we're looking at 2,800 for those you attract and 3,200 for the next year, let's just assume a lot of them don't do stuff, right? So make it 1,000 a month. I'm sorry, 1,000 an agent. So at 20,000 agents, how much is Rob making today? And how does that equate to his Keller Williams 300,000 paycheck that he's still getting? But how does that equate? Just do the math on that. That's a big number. Okay. Now, Rob was at Sean Sturrock's house and they were having dinner, and Rob says, "You have to excuse me, I've got to go. I'm doing a presentation." And Sean says, "Well, what are you doing a presentation on?" He says, "Well, real estate." And Sean says, I'm getting my license. I take my test in a couple weeks. Well, why don't you just follow me into this room at Sean's house and listen? Okay, great. I'll listen in. So Sean's a fix and flipper. He and his buddy Bill, they had lost everything. And so they're in the mode of, one of us should get a license so we quit paying a realtor to sell our fix and flips. So Sean started this. He listened to that presentation. He joined EXP. He brought in 2 agents. He said, Rob, let me do what you did. What did you do? How did you do it? I want to do that. And so the first thing he did was talk to the 9 realtors he knew. That's it. He knew 9 realtors. Jeff Morrell's one of them. Yeah. So he talked to 9 different realtors and most of them came into EXP. So by the end of the year, here he is with 21 realtors on his team, on his front line, 463 total on his team. This is a brand new realtor, just got his license. He's got 463. Now do the math on that. How much is Sean making, whether he sells a house or not, coming into his second year as a realtor? Tell me how many realtors. You know, I know I've got some brokers in here, some folks that have worked with agents. How many brokers can grow their business to that level, have all the training done for them, have healthcare provided for them, have all the benefits that are out there? How many brokers can build and grow to that kind of size team in that period of time? So here he is, 3 months in, and he's getting overrides on 17 agents. Tell me how many new realtors, Kelly, even at 3 months, would you have felt comfortable enough outside of the EXP model to have worked with 17 agents and made them productive? Probably not. Probably not. Kathy Carter, very successful realtor, 23 years, Coldwell Banker Rookie of the Year, managing broker at Keller, tons of awards. She's only referred 18 people into EXP, but in September, she did, that was a year ago, 3 personal transactions, paid on 607 transactions. What's that? Jay Nelson to Sean Stewart. Now I wish she was. Exactly. So anyway, Glenn posted this. EXP is giving away money to agents. 220 million went back. 50 million in equity through those equity awards, $50 million given back to the owners of this company, 170 million given back to those that will bother to share it with others. That's a lot. Again, it's such a different culture. It's really hard to express and explain the value of the culture. Trish, come here for a minute. Come here. Talk about, Trish has been in EXP for 5 years, 6 years, 5 years. And Trish is part of Jean's team and Rob's team. Yeah. And we met by chance outside of the door of one of the events a year ago. Tell me your story for a minute.
So I went to shareholders. That's happening next month. No, this month, next week.
Next week.
In Orlando, and I just was doing my thing, meeting people, learning stuff, and I'm in the hallway grabbing some food, and I see Kelly there, and I see she's from Colorado Springs, and I'm like, I'm from Boulder, and she's like the first person I ran into that was from Colorado, and I'm like, I want a family in Colorado, and I just didn't know anybody. There was COVID, so we weren't getting out much, and so we started talking, and next thing you know, I'm tapped into Freedom Team, and like I have a family, and I'm just ever so grateful for that afternoon when we ran into each other. And Kelly she has such a big heart. She is one of my heroes. She shares more than I will in one year, more than I will share in my lifetime, because she's just that kind of person. And I'm very lucky to be a part of Freedom Team. It's just an EXP.
There are really no orphans. In fact, EXP has an orphan program. It's really quite interesting.
Yeah.
People who sign up with EXP that didn't come in through somebody telling them, they get assigned a team. It's kind of fun. So I've inherited some new members, but really lots of, like Jay Kinder, he was #1 Coldwell Banker broker into EXP. Aaron Ken, he's down in Texas. He just went through 4 classes with us on our Freedom Team to talk about how to do listings. I mean, just a wealth of information Chuck Fazio, 906 agents. He had the largest independent brokerage at the time. 906 agents, did his due diligence on EXP, came in, brought the team into EXP. So I can tell you, he didn't put his business backwards by doing that. Sean Kukoska, I'm actually in his coaching program right now. He was the MAPS coach for Keller Williams. Big guy, helped Gary Keller write The One Thing. Yeah, so anyway, great guy. He now does all the training for EXP. Tom Daves, #1 at Keller or Remax years, 37 years running. Local, Amy Fletcher came across, and with her brought Lauren Schneider. Lauren's comment was, wish I had made the change much earlier. Amy's comment was, I can't grow my business where I am. Now she's #8 Remax. She was big in Remax. Said, I cannot grow my business where I am. I need more opportunity. Mark Yule, #1 agent in Colorado Springs back in 2020. In EXP, Treasurer Davis brought her whole team. So there is a lot of very powerful people here in the Springs and across the country that are choosing EXP because of what it does for them and what it does for their team. And we are really the #1 independent brokerage, top mover in transactions, top 5 in sales. When you look at a chart, there's a guy that I can't even remember his name, but what? Say it loud.
Mike said today.
Okay, so I can't say it. Mike. He puts out, he's independent, and he put out a study of the top brokerages, which ones are going up and which ones are going down. EXP's going up. Every other brokerage was going down in that study. So anyway, if you really understand passive income and the ability to create passive income, there is no better method than this method through the revenue share, through the stock. We made millionaires out of 100 of our agents when the stock went through the roof that year. They sold some, they paid off their houses, they bought cars, they took care of business. So it is the only place that you can get multiple sources of passive income. And now you add the Done For You program on top of it, a way to help your investors. That's just another source of passive income. It's kind of endless as it keeps adding up. So think about where you are now. In the next 3 to 5 years, what will be different if you stay where you are now? If you were going to rate your current brokerage on a scale of 0 to 10, just kind of do this in your head. On training, maybe they're great. Maybe your current brokerage is a 10. On leads, do they give you leads? Maybe they're a 10. On healthcare, most brokerages don't provide healthcare. EXP is a 10. Ownership in the company, I haven't found other brokerages that provide ownership, unless you're the franchise owner. And on a retirement plan, we're on our own at most places. So out of a possible 50, what can you score? How can you score your current brokerage? Now, as Tony Robbins says, he's come to 2 of our conferences. By changing nothing, nothing changes. And so unless you choose to make a shift, in 5 years from now, you're going to be in the exact same spot you are today. So what's possible at EXP? Our training is by far a 10+, with the best agents across the country doing the training. Our lead system, KV Core, is considered the Cadillac. Amy is doing a $30 million business directly from KV Core and making it rain. Our healthcare, by far, saving agents and providing great service. The ability to own stock and really create a good financial future for you. And then the retirement plan, the capability to create that passive income. So can you get close to that where you're sitting today? You've got to ask yourself. And if you don't, if you can't, then you've got to really look at what you should do. So, become a shareholder with us, join us, talk to whoever invited you here today, and let's just make a difference in this world. So thank you all for coming. Also, there's a survey. If you grab one of the papers at the back,